Hello, hello. I actually pushed my mic further away earlier because I needed to see something. I should have put it back where it's supposed to be before the stream. Hey, good morning. It is not yet 12, so I'm still very much allowed to say good morning. I think that's a valid thing to be saying at this time of day. Hello, hello. We are back with flowers this time, hopefully with less, you know, the entire stream lagging and almost crashing. Good morning, yeah, good morning. To me, it's morning. If it's before 12, a.m. No, a.m. is the one at night. p.m. 12 p.m. This is still morning. Hi, Akira. Hello. No, thank you for the pat. I'm getting some use out of the fact that I have the house to myself for a few hours. So I thought, okay, I can fit in the stream real quick here. And just in case, we can go a little overtime. Because I won't be, you know, limited by, oh god, it's already nighttime and I have to go work tomorrow. So, who are we to judge when is or is not morning? Exactly. You know, it's the same thing with breakfast. Like, breakfast is just the first thing you eat in a day. If you have breakfast at 6 in the evening, that's still breakfast if it's the first thing you eat that day. Like, who cares? I don't judge. I've eaten breakfast at like 5 in the evening before. You want a Pikachu? Okay.
Pikachu. Pika Pika. Pikachu.
But yeah, we sadly didn't get very far last time. Due to things pretty much out of my control. Oh god. What's happening with the music? Jesus. I'm assuming though, because it has been okay-ish, and I'm not trying to jinx it, but it has been okay for both of the other streams on Friday and literally yesterday. So I think I just needed to update my OBS, and it's been going fine. It's been going perfectly fine. Also, my computer just did a massive amount of updates for some reason, because I was like, okay, I have the house to myself in like 10 minutes, so I should try and stream. And then my computer was like, hey, if you want to restart me, you have to install like 15 updates. But here we are. We're still in chapter 3. We have done all of our choices for chapter 3, but who knows what else they're going to put in there. So, it's the beginning of February, and crisp morning light filters into the classroom. February, good morning! Its diffuse warmth distracts me from homeroom, and my eyelids feel pleasantly heavy.
良いですか? 朝の読書習慣についてですが。
Oh, ow, you know, like, good morning. I had my speakers on too loud. Sister Pasquia's voice is a faraway whisper, lulling me towards sleep. Such an issue, yeah! As soon as January turned into February, a cold spell hit. If I actually managed to get up at a normal time on Sundays, I will be trying to do these more often, I think. But no promises. The already bitter winter took a nosedive into freezing. During the short walk from the dormitories to the main school building, the stinging cold pieces threw our clothing like 1,000 needles. Chill coiled up from the earth, leaching through the soles of our feet to permeate our entire bodies. After saying our prayers in the freezing chapel, we hurried to the classroom in its blessed heating, barely exchanging a word on the way. Even after we've arrived in the classroom and divested ourselves of our berets, capes and gloves, the chill sits deep in our bones, until the warmth of the heated air finally wraps itself around us like a comforting blanket. Pace.
聖書でなくとも構いません。図書室を利用し。
The stinging cold of the walk here should have blown the cobwebs away, but now with sunlight bathing my body and the warmth of the heated classroom nestling me, I'm finding it hard to stay awake. I'm surprised. I mean, we did obviously have heaters in our classrooms as well, but half the time it didn't really feel like it did anything. And then it was always like, oh, but we need to let some fresh air in, and whoever sat closest to the window just fucking died. Because if you're the one sitting next to the window when, well, just open it for 2 minutes or maybe 5 minutes, you will freeze. You're freezing. And then they don't allow you to actually put on your jackets or your hats or anything to cover your ears, right? Because it's like, no, we're inside. That is rude if you're wearing something on your head, which I still don't understand. And it's like, oh yeah, let's let some fresh air and I'm just going to freeze over here. And then they ask you questions. You're like, I'm not paying attention to class right now. I'm busy freezing. But I have to pay attention to what Sister Basquiat is saying. Right. I put it off while I was busy preparing for the Council of Nikea's events, but... Oh yeah. Finally! The main mystery again. I can start closing in on my amitié again. Thoughts of Mayuri crowd my mind, my hazy mind, and I smile to myself.
では、図書委員である白羽さんからお話ししてもらいましょう。
Dun dun!
はい。皆さん、しっかりと拝聴しましょう。
Listen closely to what? I stand up from my seat, a silly smile still pasted to my face, with no clue as to what we've just been talking about. Oh, Shirahane. You were totally grinning to yourself, she teases me.
にやけてなんかいないわ。
I return back to my bookworm buddy who's taking up shop in front of my desk.
そうか。バスキア教諭に呼ばれて立ち上がった時の顔なんて思わず笑っちまいそうになったぜ。なあ。
To be fair, she's done this in the first game as well, but with 2 different protagonists for the 2 games in between. I have forgotten about the fact how much Sue was just daydreaming all the time.
確かになんだか嬉しそうではあったわね。
Takasaki-san nods earnestly, and I feel my face flush. Looking vindicated, Erika-san turns to the others to seek their agreement too.
です。私的には困った顔しか見られなかったけど、そうちゃん何かいいことあったの？いいことって。
At the time I was thinking that I was finally free to start solving the mysteries that would lead me back to Mayuri, but I can hardly tell them that.
おお、私はともかく友人の佐々木姉妹にも言えない話か？寂しいよな。何か悩み事があるの？悩みというよりも嬉しいことがあったというのが正解のような気がしますですよ。嬉しいことといえばそうなのだけど。嬉しいこと？白羽さんが思い出し笑いをするなんて珍しいわね。思い出し笑い。もしかしてそれって恋愛絡みとか？それは。
Since I can't tell the truth, I find myself fumbling around for what to say. Erika-san is staring at me with a look that plainly reads, "Are you for real?"
それじゃラブレターをもらったとか。なんと本当ですか
No, I don't have any good memories of love letters. The phrase love letter sparks a memory.
ラブレターにはいい思い出がないから。
I answer without really thinking.
あの時のことはごめんなさいですよ。
Reminded of the prank from back in spring, the twins look down, their shoulders drooping.
あの時のことは誤解だったって話したじゃない。気にしてないし、仲良くなりたい気持ちからだって聞けて嬉しかったのよ。
I hurry to reassure them and am relieved when they smile.
いい思い出がないってことはもらったことがあるのね。それは。
When I was younger, there was a boy who pulled a prank on me.
まあ、確かにモテる容姿をしているからな。ここが驚愕ならひっきりなしにもらってただろうぜ。
Erika-san smirks, but I know she's being genuine.
私がもらえるなら、エリカさんもたくさんもらえるわね。だって、小さい頃のことだけれど、男の子ってエリカさんみたいに自分の意見をしっかり言える子が人気だった気がするわ。
Realizing that Erika-san is now red as a tomato, I abruptly break off. I glance at the twins while Takasaki-san folds her arms, staring intently at Erika-san's grimacing red face, as though she can read something there.
そう、エリカ、ラブレターをもらったことがあるのね。
Oh no. Ooh.
いつ？誰からよ？ノーコメントだ。
Erika-san remains tight-lipped even as Takasaki-san bears down on her. As they continue talking amongst themselves, I slide my gaze over to where Erika-san is chatting with Tsurubuki-san. The flow of people to her seat never ceases, and she listens to all the troubles without a hint of complaint. Suddenly, I'm struck with the urge to open up to my Ami tea partner about Mayuri. The feeling swells up from my chest and lodges in my throat like tears. But I would argue that I think it would be a better choice to actually get the others involved. Like at least Dika-san. Maybe... Like, they do live in the same building. She was there when Mayuri was there. It's not like she would fault her for still being hung up on her. Narrowing my eyes against the cool, dazzling rays of sunlight falling across her back, I start to go over what I'm going to do in my head. Every loser is someone who's so afraid of not winning he doesn't even try. Well, actually, we are in chapter 4. Never mind. We did reach chapter 4 last time. I think of a line from the movie Little Miss Sunshine, because... The museum studies? Huh? Is that what we're calling it now? Didn't we call it a different thing these last few times? The Bloody Mary incident was deemed to be the reason a lot of third-year students all quit at once, and Miss Karasumoni's name came up in the process of pursuing it. Itsushita-senpai blocked her plan to use the incident to her own advantage and censored her for it. Then Miss Karasumoni left the academy. It wasn't called museum studies before, was it? Wasn't it just something directly connected to preserving? Not museum studies in general, but literally just preserving? Or am I don't know. I might be wrong. I'm probably wrong. But I found out nothing more than when I asked around the last time. It seemed that Miss Karasumoni was a woman of few words who rarely spoke about her personal life. Since she wasn't the type to play favorites with her students, there were no girls who were particularly close to her and among the staff. Good morning again. I did. I hope you got some sleep as well. They were the two people closest to the reticent Miss Karasumoni. I've already spoken with Miss Ishizuka and Sister Basquiat. She won't tell me anything. She probably thinks she said all there was to say that night in a textiles room. Sister Basquiat is shady in a way where I'm like, she probably doesn't even mean it in a bad way. She does act in everyone's best interest as far as I can tell. But on the other hand, we are not satisfied with just, oh, you know, it's for the good of the academy. Like, I want the truth now. It seems to me that Yatsushiro-senpai arrived at the name Tulpa of Agape via the fallout of the incident caused by Miss Karasumoni. I even voiced that hunch to her. Oh man, Stray Gods was so much fun. At the end, that line comes back to me. A real loser is someone who's so afraid of not winning, he doesn't even try. All I can do is take comfort in the fact that I am trying. If I keep pushing my way forward, never giving up, I'll eventually find what I'm looking for. I decide to shift the focus of my investigation from Miss Karasumoni to Shiori Akitsu and begin anew. Oh, okay. Sure. It's no use. Leaning back from the pages I've been staring at, I press my fingers to my temples and let out a deep sigh. Well, if they were never involved in anything, why would they? I tried looking back at the records kept by successive presidents of the Council of Nicaea since I knew Yatsushiro-senpai had looked through them too, but... When I combed through the almanacs before, I was looking for anything to do with the Toba of Agape or Shion Basquiat. This time I had my eyes peeled for those two names, but I haven't encountered them anywhere. There's nothing at all written about Shiori Akitsu. I suppose there wouldn't be. After all, it would have fallen to Yatsushiro-senpai, her Amici partner, to write it. As I'm gloomily turning to the next page, I hear the door opening. Always! My Amici partner smiles at me, a bunch of documents in her hand. After the meeting disbanded, I wasn't expecting anyone else to return to Iznik, so I have to come up with an excuse on the spot. Nika-san doesn't probe my life further. She goes to file her papers away in a binder. Rising from my seat at the desk, I join her, telling her I'll help. She glances over at the stack of almanacs on my desk. I think I detect a trace of suspicion beneath the quiet words, and I steal a look to try to gauge her expression. Eyes remind me of ominous thunderclouds rolling in from afar, hiding something I can't comprehend. Something in her gaze gives me a bad feeling in the pit of my stomach. With that, she takes her leave, maintaining her curiously indifferent attitude. Soft but long sigh escapes my lips like air from a balloon. I've sensed something off about my Amici partner's demeanor for a while now, indistinct but almost tangible. I wish she'd just tell me what's going on with her. At least she's self-aware. I murmur sardonically, sagging back against the bookshelf. In the silence, I become aware of a small but strange sound. It's so quiet you barely notice unless you were straining your ears for it. It's like a bird's cry. No, it's a human sound. The dying light of the day casts the room in shadow, deepening the gloom that's pooling around the edges. In one dark corner, I pick up the shadowy form of my stepmother and stifle a scream. Nausea surges up in me at the sight of her standing there, crisscrossed by scarlet light and inky shadow. She comes to me whenever I'm faltering or feeling afraid. She is. The idea that my Amici partner is lying to me shakes me to the core. I simply thought she was keeping something from me. That's... She takes slow, deliberate steps toward me. Fighting back the nausea in my throat, I tell her she's lying, but she simply laughs it off. Tsubuki-san's face flashes before my mind's eye, and I stagger back against the shelf. A feeling of weightlessness washes over me like I'm sinking back into the bookshelf. My head is hot and stuffy, the backs of my eyes burn. It's second period, but neither my head nor my heart had fully awoken. I bring my hands beneath the icy water running from the faucet. I feel it spike across my palms. After splashing my face with cold water several times and wiping it dry with a handkerchief, I feel a little more normal. My head still feels strangely muggy, like it's been stuffed with smoldering cotton wool, but it's better than before. Stepping out from the chilly washroom into the corridor, the warm air settles heavily over me again. This isn't the fatigue that accompanies illness, but rather... Am I? A voice addresses me from behind and I turn around.
最近は他の人と何
Coming closer, she stares intently into my face as though searching for a sign. Then she points toward her own face.
そう、目よ。
I tilt my head questioningly as her brows knit together with concern.
エリカ風に言うならバッドシグナルが出てるわよ。目真っ赤じゃない。もしかして誰かに泣かされでもしたの？
Bad vibes. It's not it. Quickly rack my brain for how to respond.
そうではなくて。
All I can come up with is another weak denial.
私には言えないことなの？
Angry uncle noises. Hi. She reaches out with graceful fingers. When I instinctively shut my eyes, I feel them dance gently over my eyelids, the intimate gesture revealing her genuine concern for me.
私には言いにくいならエリカに話すといいわ。あの子、ああ見えて優しいところがあるの。知っているわ。さ。
The warm fingertips caress my eyelids like flickering memories, and a gentle tickle of her kind gesture makes me giggle.
何？いえ、高崎さんも優しいなって。
Mm-hmm.
そう。
She pulls her hand back and I suddenly wish I waited a little longer to say anything.
夜遅くまで本を読んでいたの。
It's not a lie. I'm telling her one facet of the truth. Really? She asks me, gazing earnestly into my face.
ええ、すごく興味深い本で読むのがやめられなくて。
Right. Infuriated and scared by my stepmother's words, I staggered back into the bookshelf. My impact knocked the book to the floor.
この本だな。
Even the pet. It was so subtle you wouldn't notice it without close examination, but there was something unnatural about the depth of the bookshelf. This led me to a discovery. There was another shelf hidden behind the back of the first one. No way! The hidden shelf looked like it hadn't been accessed for a long time, since it was layered with years of worth of dust and all the book's pages were yellowed. I picked up a volume at random and scanned over it.
これは学院の記録だわ。
Ha ha ha! The H tome was from before the academy became Saint Angre's Academy. I hate. I'm so sorry to that flower. It's a gorgeous flower, but the fucking name. My mind had wandered back to yesterday in Iznik. Takasaki-san's doubtful tone pulls me back to the present.
このことは秘密にしてほしいの。
Oh.
秘密？リッカさんに内緒で消灯時間が過ぎてからもベッドの中で本を読んでいて。
Miss Council President should keep to the rules.
だから寝不足で目を晴らしている？
I nod. A sparkle wipes the suspicion from Takasaki-san's eyes, and she comments that I can be very cute sometimes.
なんていうか白羽さんって絶対に規律を破らない人だと思っていたわ。片場寮長みたいな。
Like Doma the Katabami of all people who record feeding wild animals. To just name the one example we know where she definitely broke the rules.
そうかしら。規律を遵守するならリッカさんの方が。花火師さんは意外と融通が利くイメージがあるわね。白羽さんの方がルールに厳しい気がするわ。そんなに石部金吉に見えるかしら。石部？
I've picked up Yatsushita-senpai's penchant for old lingo. I explained to her that it comes from an old word for referee, and now refers to people who insist on following rules to the letter. As I watch her nod appreciatively, I think of Rika-san. I have a new source of information, but it's going to take time to go over all those piles of old records. I was able to read through all the books in Iznik because it was the winter break, and I spent every waking minute cooped up in there. But even if I bring the old records out... She would need to get a book sleeve that says something else on it, and like put it around the tome and then just read it wherever. But even then, I don't know how long that would actually go over well for, because I imagine the others would go, "Oh, what are you reading? What is that?" and try to take a look. I can't tell anyone about the hidden records.
部屋でこっそり本を読んでいるのは内緒にしてほしいのね。
It's a bad habit of mine to say things without thinking. Now I'm locked into this. I summon a smile.
わかったわ。私と白羽さんの二人だけの秘密ね。
Yay! Takasaki-san reassures me. She gives me her word, but secrets always come out. No! Hey, you got your hands on a good book. No! Takasaki-san! Those are the words I find before me when I open the folded scrap of paper that's passed to me during class in the dreaded specimen room. Hurriedly I glance around the room. My gaze lands on Irika-san's smug features and Takasaki-san with their hands clasped together and head bowed to me in supplication. Another thought comes to mind, crowding out the fact that Takasaki-san reneged on her promise. I can't tell anyone about the old texts I found in Iznik. I know that, but at the same time, trying to read through all of them in stolen moments is going to take way too long. But I argue back and forth internally. I remember something Irika-san said after she and I got the rundown on the werewolf, the bell tower incident from Yatsushita Senpai. She had a point. Catching my book one body subtle wave, I surreptitiously press my hand to my chest to still my inner turmoil. In the end, I decide to put my trust in my book one body. Her eyes sparkle with childish delight as she makes grabby hands at the pile of books stacked on my desk in Iznik. They are. Once Irika-san knew it was going to get back to Takasaki-san sooner or later, so I decided to bring her on board too. Without revealing their true origin, I solicited her help in reading through the books. I related how I found some old school records in the library that were earmarked for disposal. A little white lie.
でも調べ物なら二階屋の会の人たちや花火さんにも手伝ってもらえばいいんじゃない？お前話聞いてなかったのかよ。もともとが捨てる図書で昔の学校の記録だ。七不思議関係もあるかもだから委員長には酷だって話しただろうが。ああ、花火さん怖い話苦手だものね。二階屋の会のみんなにはもともと捨てるものだから。
Susan is very good at coming up with little white lies, huh?
あ、そんな顔しないで。私もついエリカへ面白そうな本を見つけたっていう話を言ってしまったし。
She clasps her hands together and bats her eyelashes at me apologetically. I tell her it's fine.
手伝ってくれるって言ってくれたもの。それに。
Yeah. Sooner or later, everyone is gonna know about it anyway.
今度こそ内緒にしてって話でしょ。理由が理由だし、誰にも言わないわ。エリカもそうよね。白羽に恩を売れて、未だ読んだことのない本まで拝めるんだ。言うわけがない。
With that declaration, she picks up one of the old records and runs her hand lovingly over the cover before opening it. She's like a child who's just been given a toy. I meet Takasaki-san's gaze and we share a giggle.
それじゃあ古書の中で何か面白い記述や七不思議らしい事柄が書かれていたときは教えてくださいね。
ほほ
う。もう限界だわ。
Not a big reader, are you? The voice filters to my concentration like the roar of distant waves.
少し休憩にしましょう。
At her next words, I raise my head from my book to see Takasaki-san heading over to where the tea set stands. With a practiced hand, she pours out a cup of tea and serves it to me.
ありがとう。どういたしまして。でもすごいわね。こんな難しい本、集中してずっと読んでいられないわ。
These old tomes are from back when St. Anglicum Academy was known as Awashima Seminary. The pages contain records of daily life, but the grammar and phrasing is different to modern-day language. It takes a considerable mental effort to parse each paragraph.
祖父がこの時代の小説をよく読んでいたから、その蔵書を私も読ませてもらっていたし。
Comes in handy at a time like this, huh?
処置というのは本当なのね。エリカが本なら辞書でもいいって聞いたときは冗談かと思ったけれど。
She looks over at Erika who's hunched over her books as though greedily devouring its knowledge and sighs deeply.
冗談は言うけど、嘘はつかないんだったわよね。
With that, she gets up and goes over to plonk a cup of tea in front of Erika.
なんだよ、休憩か?
Absolutely absorbed in the book as well.
そうよ。それにそろそろタイムリミット。もうそんな時間かよ。せっかく面白い記述を見つけたってのによ。
Did you find?
もしかして
In my excitement, I'm about to name the Toba of Agape, but quickly cut myself off.
この学院のお箱、七不思議だよ。ずいぶん昔からあったみたいだ。ほら。
Taking the prophet book from her, I see that the passage refers to the goddess of truth. My vision narrows it to a pinprick at the side of this term, so closely tied up in my Amiti's disappearance. Suddenly there's only me and those words.
真実の女神? 聞いたことのない七不思議ね。
Yeah, that was before you transferred in.
夏に転入してきたお前は知らないだろうな。こいつは聖母祭を経て現れる怪異なんだよ。聖母祭? それって私が来る前にあった学園祭のようなもの？聖母マリアを称える祭事だよ。真実の女神は聖母祭の聖母役に選ばれた者が対象となる。そして
vanishes them away. The voice reaches my ears but doesn't make its way into my brain. All I can see are the words on the page before me as I scan through them, seeking any new information I can find.
つまり石部金吉な人が選ばれるわけね。お前にしては面白い言い回しを知ってるじゃないか。ニュアンスは微妙に間違ってるけどな。まあこの時代の記述では名だけでまだ消えちまう云々の話はないみたいだが。
Though to be fair, we did realize, like the second or third mystery, that a lot of the mysteries are just like, yeah, person disappears. Ooh. Like all of the mysteries are like, something happens. People disappear. Oh, wrong button. Let me out. Let me out of the backlog, please. Thank you. Passing my eyes over the text, I see that she's right. It just mentions the name. I suppose it wasn't a clue after all.
何がないんだ?
I must have voiced my thoughts aloud again. She peers into my face and looked back into her eyes without really seeing her.
白羽さんの受け売りをすぐに使った私のことがないとか? いえ、そうじゃないの。ただ昨日眠っていないから。
They both already know that I stayed up all night, so they seem to believe my excuse. Takasaki-san kindly offers me another cup of tea. When I shake my head, Irika-san digs around in her pocket and holds out whatever it is she found in there.
脳に栄養がいってないんだよ。甘いもんでも食え。
In her hand is a little boxed chocolate. Aww. I haven't quite returned to reality after hearing the term goddess of truth, without thinking it. I part my lips slightly. Irika-san's eyes widen and her cheeks flush. Despite the exasperation in her tone, she unwraps the chocolate and feeds it to me. After I finish the first one, she feeds me another. Her delicate fingers brush across my lips, and I find myself captivated by the scarlet flush that stains her cheeks. I thank her, my vision still hazy as though my eyes are covered with cobwebs. Of course you do. Seeing Takasaki-san's scandalized look, the realization of what I was doing and with whom finally sinks in. Cheeks still flushed, my friend pushes the chocolate between her Amity partner's lips. A pat my cheek sharply with both hands to try to dispel the strange languor that's come over me. Both Takasaki-san and Irika-san chuckle.
白羽さんみたいな美人が気合を入れるために頬を叩くようなことをするんだなって。祖父が気持ちを切り替えるときによくやっていたので。家族の影響か。
Abruptly she breaks off with a grimace and makes a blatant attempt to change the subject, asking us whether we've heard the news.
お話って？そろそろ朗読劇をまたやるって話だよ。
Oh no!
だって夏にもうやったじゃない。バスキア教諭が以前夏と冬に2度あるって言ってただろうが。
But why would you make this the same kind of thing as you did in summer already? It's news to me, but now that she mentions it, I do vaguely remember her saying something along those lines.
また私たちがやる羽目になったりしてな。それもいいわね。またエリカの可愛い声が聞けるのですもの。
Takasaki-san counters her Michiyo-partner's teasing with some of her own, and Irika-san spreads her arms wide in a placatory gesture.
言霊ってやつがある。冗談ならいいが、やってもいいなんて言うな。叶っちまうだろうが。
The laughter echoes to Iznik. The sound is familiar and affable, and though the skies have turned to leaden grey, our spirits remain high. Our spirits remain high. But she's right. Words do have power. Why wouldn't they? There's gotta be something in those books, though. It arrives without fanfare, like a sudden downpour. Do you have any volunteers to participate in the recitation we'll be putting on this month? Out of nowhere, Sister Basquiat suddenly poses the question to us. Amid a sudden explosion of noise in the classroom, one person raises their hand straight up into the air. Oh! I looked to the owner of the voice in surprise, Ichigo-san. She's putting herself forward for it. She did eagerly volunteer to perform a solo at the choir recital, so I know she can be proactive when she feels like it. But when it came to the recitation... As in puzzling over her decision, Ringo-san also raises her hand and gets to her feet, declaring that she personally will participate too. Then, having received Sister Basquiat's praise, both sisters turn to me. Huh? What do you mean? Ichigo-san asserts confidently. What? Don't volunteer me!
佐々木さんたちだけでなくて白羽さんと花火師さんも立候補してくれるのね。
She claps her hands together delightedly, pleased that people are actively volunteering. But I didn't volunteer myself.
いえ、私は参加するとは。いいじゃん。夏に朗読劇をやった時も一人で何役もやってすごかったし、今度も脚本と読み手をお願いするよ。
There goes any and all of her free time.
いちごさん。
She waves away my protests, but Rika-san blinks as though suddenly snapped out of a daydream by my cry and stands up to voice her objection.
私も忙しいですし、朗読劇には。
Attempt to decline is cut off by a cry from an onlooker telling her to just do it.
いいじゃないか、朗読劇。白羽も出るんだし、アミティなら委員長も協力しなくちゃな。
Watch it, Erika. I'm gonna get you involved in this as well.
それは。そうね。前回は聞けなかったけれど、花火師さんならきっと上手に演じてくれるわ。
Erika-san claps her hands together in agreement. The rest of the class joins in the applause. While Rika-san seems unsure how to respond to the flattery, there's a gleam in her eye when she turns to me that tells me she's not entirely averse to it.
恥ずかしい上に、今はそんな暇はないわ。あいつアバターみたいな顔になってるぜ。
Her voice is low, but my pricked ears easily pick up her whispered comment. Somehow I have to find a way out of the situation. It's mostly because my eyes just happened to meet hers, but...
私よりも高崎千鳥さんの方が朗読者として適していると思います。
Clutching at straws, I throw Takasaki-san's name into the ring. She blinks at me in bewilderment.
白羽さんは私の朗読が聞きたいの？
Yeah.
それは
I don't want to admit that I simply picked it because I wanted to force it off onto someone else.
そう、私でなくてもいいのね。
Seeing the hurt bloom in her eyes, I quickly tell her she's wrong.
違う？聞きたくないってこと？違うというのはそういう意味ではなくて、私は白羽さんが適任だと思うわ。
Ow. I trail off, guilt welling up inside me at the glint of tears in her eyes. Apparently taking this as an end to the discussion, Sister Basquiat tells her to sit. Oh no, I really put my foot in it.
私は女優よ。好きな時に好きなだけ泣けるの。
Tch. God damn it. Last that I cast around for any escape route I can find. But everyone averts their eyes, too shy to participate. Only one person meets my gaze. She looks startled by my whisper, but then a radiant smile spreads across her features. Because she would get to spend time with... I didn't even realize they're in the same class. What the fuck? Thought she was in a different class. Because is participating given the feeling she has for her. Suddenly I feel a chill presence of my stepmother creeping up my spine. I'm wavering. Forced into agreement by the pain in my chest, I nod my assent, as does Ika-san.
私的にはエリカやチドリンにも参加してもらいたかったけどね。笑えない冗談だ。そんなに卑屈になることないよ。エリカが参加したら爆笑間違いなしだからね。
We're all stunned by a quick comeback. Apparently even Erika-san is sometimes lost for words.
笑える朗読劇って何をする気なの？
Smartly answered that there's a reason why they can't do the recitation with just the two of them.
この朗読劇は人数が多くないとできない演目だからね。
Oh.
まあ、もう演目も決めているのね。
Puffing her chest out, Ichigo-san surveys the classroom.
朗読劇の演目は、
Ah.
オズの魔法使いです。
Yeah, that would make sense. You need quite a lot of people for that.
ひどいわ、イチゴさん。
I pretend to take a swipe at her and she jerks back, laughing apologetically.
悪かったよ、スオちゃん。
You're not sorry. After class on the way to the chapel, I'm assailed by a sense of déjà vu. We've had this same exchange before. Right, it was...
でも、前にやった朗読劇、すごくかっこよかったんだもん。今度もって思うのが当然じゃない？そうかしら。そうだよ。前の衣装も良かったけど、今度はもっと露出が多いやつにしよう。裾から見えちゃいそうなやつ。きっと支持率うなぎ登りだよ。
What kind of furry producer are you?
もう、またからかって。
Immediately after morning prayers, I went to protest to Ichigo-san, and she apologized to me exactly the same as she's doing now, and teased me the same way too.
あんまりしつこいとスオさんが怒るわよ。ふざけすぎてはダメ。
This back and forth with me constantly defending myself against her teasing has dragged on all the way until after class. Ichigo-san sticks out her tongue, but Ika-san advances on her, pulling a scary face.
スオさんは怒らせると怖いのよ。夜通し怖い話を聞かされるんだから。
I think that's just a problem for you, Ika. She says mischievously. As I raise my voice to protest, Ichigo-san happily suggests that this sounds like fun.
夜通し怪談話。それは最高ですね。
Nika-san nods happily, hands balled into fists. It seems like today is one of those days where I get teased all day long. Still... I mean, it's nice that we get to hang out again, for sure. It's been equally as long since I've heard her joking around.
よかった。
Ichigo-san scratches her head awkwardly, clearly not having meant for me to overhear. After a moment of thought, she beckons for me to bend down and leans in to a whisper.
なんていうかさ、ここのところりっちゃん元気ない感じだったじゃない？だからさ。
Yeah, that's not surprising.
みんなで朗読劇をしようって。りっちゃんの特効薬はスオちゃんでしょ？前に一緒にやりたかったって言っていたし、友達が元気ない顔してるのって嫌だし。
Her cheeks are as red as strawberries, and not just from the winter cold. Stroke her head. Emotion surges up in my chest, and before I know it, I'm putting an arm around her shoulder and using my other hand to pat her head. The Sasakis remind me of squirrels. A little.
ありがとう、いちごさん。
Chilled by the winter air, her hair is cold to the touch but still soft. It's smooth and silky, as beautiful as her heart. Oh, okay. As I stroke her hair, I remember the cat that lived with us for a short time when I was a child. It was like a precious little thing, but it would also come snuggle up to me whenever I was crying. I look down into Ichigo-san's face, which is as red as a tomato. Realizing what I'm doing, I hurriedly pull my hand away. Noticing Nika-san's stern expression and Dingo-san's leer, I feel my face flush hotly all the way to the tips of my ears. She says bashfully. Hehe. When I open the door to the chapel, my vision is filled with the sight of the stained glass windows glimmering magnificently as the winter light filters through them, and the figure of Christ on the cross. I'm assailed by the same sense of déjà vu and desolation as before. It's because I'm remembering that summer day when we performed the recitation together. Or maybe it's because I saw her, standing up on the dais with her hair like golden roots. There are the upperclassmen here who will be participating in the recitation too. It's just not the same, we don't know any of those other upperclassmen. Sister Basquiat smiles genuinely around us. At us. First thing we do is introduce ourselves. In the summer I was introducing myself to Komikado-senpai, who I already knew well, so there's nothing to be nervous about. Now as I look around the chapel, even though the older students are familiar to me. Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, we know this one character who got one CG. One of them is Mio Hagiwara, who was Komikado-senpai's amitié partner, and the other is... Mizuki Hokama, the pianist from the choir club, who is good friends with Rika-san. As it turns out, the two of them are both participating in the recitation. Usually each year group puts on their own recitation, but after the rave reviews of our performance with Komikado-senpai received, we're doing it jointly again this time too. However... Although they didn't seem to mind, I feel like at the time I was so desperate to solve the mystery that I really hammered them over the head with all my blunt questions. Hokama-senpai tugs gently on my sleeve. She's telling me it's my turn next.
仲良くなったみたいね。そうなの？Hokama先輩が袖を引くのは好意の証なのよ。
Oh! Happy to hear this, I thank Hokama-senpai. She quickly hides herself behind Rika-san but offers me a little nod in return. Then she whispers something too quiet for me to hear. I wonder if they made her like that because they got someone to voice her who they didn't have a lot of budget left over, so they were like, okay, we'll make her a character who doesn't actually talk much, so you only have like those few lines. Probably not. Like, I'm just remembering back then, like, I guess the third season of Steven Universe, when you could just tell, they had a little more budget for this one episode, so we have a different fusion show up, yada yada, because you know the voice actors were very expensive, so they can't be there all the time.
さあ、次は1年生の番です。今度も夏と同じようにみんなで同じ童話を朗読することになりますから。
Sister Basquiat hands out print pamphlets to each of us.
練習は童話のカエルの王様を朗読してもらいます。
Ah!
では字の文は白羽さん、
The
カエ
part
ル
of the
の王
frog.
様役は花火師さん。
One by one, she assigns us our parts and gives us an introduction to the basics of recitation or stage reading. It's the second time I've heard it.
では頭からではなく1ページ目の23行目から始めましょう。
She must have some reason not to start at the beginning. Doing as instructed, I opened the pamphlet and scanned down to the designated section.
萩原先輩も他の先輩も見ている。
Having all these extra pairs of eyes on me that weren't there last time makes me nervous. However,
大丈夫よ。落ち着いていちごさん。
I'm the only one here who's done this before. I smile around at everyone, doing my best to settle their nerves.
では始めてください。お姫様、お姫様、何を悲しんでいるの？そんなに泣いていたんじゃ、石だって同情してしまうよ。
I'm impressed by how good she is, despite this being her first time. Sister Basquiat clears her throat, shaking me from my reverie, and I rush to read out my part.
お姫様はその声がどこからするのかと辺りを見回しました。するとカエルが水面からその大きな目を突き出しているのが見えたのです。
Oh my god.
水をバチャバチャやる迷惑なカエルじゃない。私が泣いているのはね、黄金の玉が泉の中に落ちてしまったからなの。もう泣かなくてもいいよ。僕なら助けられるんだ。でも僕が泉の中から玉を拾ってきたら何かご褒美をくれないかな。
Beneath the light of the setting sun, Nika-san's voice reverberates through the chapel.
あなたの欲しいものなら何だってあげるわ。綺麗な洋服も美しい宝石も私がしている黄金の冠もあなたのものよ。
Yeah, the princess promised us all that, because in her heart she thinks, it's just a nasty old frog. I don't have to do anything for it. Ichigo-san in tones, gilded in scarlet by the sun's dying rays. The figures transform into those of Yatsuhiro-senpai and Komikado-senpai, but not from the recitation, as we weren't all together then, from when they stood on stage together at the choir recital.
僕は綺麗な洋服も美しい宝石も黄金の冠もいらない。あなたが僕を好きになってくれて、あなたの遊び仲間にしてほしいんだ。
In my mind, Yatsuhiro-senpai's voice overlays Nika-san's. And as the scarlet light enshrouds us, an indescribable feeling buds within me. I can feel what she felt.
白羽さん。
My voice won't come out. It's trapped behind the feelings lodged in my throat. Sister Basquiat regards me suspiciously. 八代先輩、Komikado senpai. Looking up at the silent figure of Christ, I shove my feelings deep down inside. Then, with everyone's eyes on me, I start to read aloud. Strange, isn't it? Each man's life touches so many other lives. When he isn't around, he leaves an awful hole, doesn't he? A line from It's a Wonderful Life. I haven't seen any of these movies.
ブリキの木こりは心をなくした。かかしは理性をなくした。次は勇気をなくしたライオンでも来るのか。
I reached a scene in our recitation script where Oz directs his mocking words toward Dorothy.
なんというか、オズが西部劇の主人公みたいな言い回しになっているわね。
Think of the scene from my favorite movie, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, when the kid makes his grand declaration. But I'm not thinking of his partner Butch Cassidy, rather...
なんだかエリカさんも思い出すわ。
I think of my bookworm buddy, sweet, kind, and bashful, but with a tendency toward braggadocious statements.
それでいて、面倒見が良くてアウトロー。
Of course, she's not an actual outlaw. I mean it in the sense that she lives true to herself. My concentration broken by my amusement, I massaged between my brows and turned my gaze to the wind. Out the window. To give my eyes a break, I stare out at a distance. Verdant greenery would have been a balm, but we're in the depths of winter. Skeleton trees and snow are all that greet me. Finding the change of scenery lacking, I look back to the library. The polished wood floor is pooled with weak winter sunlight. As I watch it shimmer gently, I relax my eyes and my mind, and my thoughts wander to trivial things. We've begun practicing for the recitation, and just as in summer, I've been tasked with writing the script. But we can't move on to proper rehearsals until said script is finished. Currently, we're honing our technique using another fairy tale picked out by Sister Basquiat. Wrenching my gaze away from the puddle of light, I look around the room. The library's seen a lot of patrons lately, but today it's deserted, despite it being lunchtime. A yawn works his way up my throat as I stare blarily around the empty space. Suddenly, I hear the sound of the door opening and I hastily straighten my posture, trying to look alert. Rubbing the haze from my eyes, I watch as the visitor makes a hesitant but direct beeline for me. Judging by the way she heads straight over to the desk without glancing at the shelves, I assume she must have a book she wants directing to. However, since I don't recognize her from class, she must be an older student. She's holding a large paper bag in her hands and seems to be working herself up to say something. Then I notice another girl standing a bit behind her, seemingly to serve as moral support, although that girl seems even more nervous. Now I wonder whether she's here as a representative for a club. Silence stretches out between us for a moment before the nervous girl who's hanging back gives the girl holding the bag a prop. Back. That's a lot of bags. Back to back. Jesus Christ. Oh, is it Valentine's Day? We are in February. With a jerky tip of her head to me, she hurries away. It's only after the two have disappeared that I realize I've landed myself in a sticky situation. There are other ways to phrase it. A kickback, a bond, money under the table, and I've accepted it. My blood runs cold at the idea. Expecting a request to increase the club's budget or something similar, I open up the bag to find it. I've never received a bribe before, but I frowned down at the contents of the bag. A pile of small, neatly wrapped packages, each about the size of a pen case. Oh. I shake my head at my overactive imagination. If it's money for the club that they're after, they'd be getting their priorities backward. I consider what might be in the packages. Really, I should take them straight to Sister Basquiat or Dome Mother Katabami. However... So, please tell me what day it is. The student who handed me the bag was like a cornered animal. It wouldn't be right to condemn her without first understanding her reasons. I decided first things first, I need to figure out the why. With that, I stick my hand into the big bag and rummage around for the letter. Oh god. You know, my parents went out to eat today, that's why I have the house to myself, and I just got a message just like, oh, we're sitting in the garden and are waiting. I'm like, wait, what? Did they forget anything? Did they forget the keys? Are they waiting for me to open the door? But no, they meant at the actual restaurant. However, I can seem to find one. The only place left to look at it is inside the many small packages. I think it's chocolate. I think it's gonna be a Valentine's thing. Reflecting that I feel like I've done the same saying before, I summon my resolve and start to open one of the parcels. As I'm unwrapping it, it occurs to me that the paper is awfully cute for a bribe. With the wrapping removed, I nervously open a small box. Inside, I find colorful, bite-sized sweets in red, gold, white, and black, laid out neatly between little dividers. The moment I say the word aloud, I suddenly remember what day it is today. See? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying! After class, I hurried toward the chapel for recitation practice. Inside, I look around but don't see any sign of my fellow performers. Above the chancel, the figure of Christ gazes down on one lone person.
Suo-san. 遅れてごめんなさい。みんなはバスキア教諭に急な用が入ったとかで、今日の練習はお休みになったの。各自自主練だって。
Oh, good for me. A bribery? No, it's just Valentine's presents. As I regain my breath after rushing over, it occurs to me to wonder why Dika-san is still here. She answers my questioning look with a smile.
私はスオさんに伝えるために待っていたの。
That's very sweet. Imagine we would have come here and there's no one there. We're just like, oh god, I'm late. No one's here. Where are they? Touched by her kindness, I surreptitiously touched the little package I've brought with me.
ありがとう。いいのよ。それじゃあ、せっかくだから少しここで朗読の練習をしていかない？
She looks a little startled by my suggestion.
もちろんいいわよ。それじゃあ何を朗読しましょうか。
She readily agrees.
お星さん、南の青いお星さん、どうか私をあなたのところへ連れてってください。バカを言うな。お前なんか一体どんなものだい。たかが鳥じゃないか。お前の羽でここまで来るには億年長年億長年だ。
As we read from Kenji Miyazawa's The Nighthawk Star, a stillness settles over my mind, a faint flame burning at its center. I chose this tale from Sister Basquiat's pile of books out of nostalgia, but reading it out loud, the story resounds in our hearts, soft but certain. Dika-san's performance is passionate and urgent. I feel awed by her skill and versatility. I feel a sense of pride too. As she reads out the final part of the narrative, I close the book and look straight at her.
それからしばらく経って、よだかははっきり。そして自分の体が今、凛の火のような青い美しい光になって静かに燃えているのを見ました。すぐ隣はカシオピア座でした。天の川の青白い光がすぐ後ろになっていました。そしてよだかの星は燃え続けました。いつまでもいつまでも燃え続けました。
Yeah! Thank you for that good time in the past.
The final vibrations of her voice fade into the evening light and I applaud. Dika-san bows bashfully.
初めて読んだ作品だけれど、物悲しいけど、綺麗なお話ね。ええ、私は宮沢賢治の作品の中で、よだかの星が一番好きだわ。
She nods admiringly, then lists a few stories of his that she's read. We sit down on a pew to take a break and discuss our thoughts on the story.
緊張するわ。
I wonder if this is how the girls who visited me in the library at lunch felt. Then, using their own courage as inspiration, I turned to Dika-san beside me.
実はね、リッカさんへ渡したいものがあるの。私へ？
She tilts her head curiously, her braids swaying. I hold out the present I hurriedly put together in the time I had during break and after class.
もしかして。
Her eyes widen in surprise before filling with tears. A guilt I'd almost forgotten tightens my chest.
ありがとう。まさかスオさんからバレンタインのプレゼントをもらえるなんて。だって
I mean to say something about how it's a thank you for all she does for me or because she's my tea partner, but the words die on my lips. As I lapse into silence, Dika-san gets to her feet and moves to the pew behind us. There she crouches down and picks something up. She returns with a box tied with a ribbon. She also has a present for us.
実は私も
Oh!
スオさんへプレゼントを用意していたの。開けてみて。
We both open our presents together. My gift to her is a slab of freshly made chocolate cut into quarters, rich with cream and dusted with cocoa powder. From Dika-san, I receive a mountain of vividly colored truffles. Oh!
すごい。とても綺麗だわ。スオさんの美味しそう。ありがとう。本当に嬉しい。
Hehe.
Her smile is so dazzling I almost avert my eyes. But I can't do that to my best friend when she's showering me with such unfeigned frank affection. Letting her sunny smile wash over me, I feel like I want to do something more for her.
何？このチョコ、今食べてみてもいいかしら？たくさん作ったの。どんどん食べて。
I tell her I'd like her to try mine too, and she nods eagerly. Then I take one of the pieces of the chocolate I made between my fingers and raise it to her lips. Mika-san blinks at me.
私にもリッカさんのチョコを食べさせてほしいけれど、ダメ？
Oh. I murmur. Oh, oh, oh! She nods, her cheeks flushed, and picks up one of her truffles and brings it to my mouth. Hehe.
何？今思うと、こうして食べさせ合いっこってしたことがなかったなって。ずっと一緒にいるのに初めてのことってあるのね。そうね。一緒にお風呂に入ったり、一緒のお布団で寝たりしたこともあるのに。そこだけ出すと何かいかがわしいことをしてるみたい。
This time the flush creeps beyond her cheeks and all the way down her neck. I pretend not to see it, acting as though the red glow to her face is from the setting sun.
いただくわね。
At first there's a slight bitterness to the truffle, but then it melts into a puddle of sweetness across my tongue.
私たちの
No, no. It would be... What do you mean it would be easier? Clearly this is the superior way to feed each other chocolates. From spring until now, it hasn't all been sunshine and roses. Some experiences have been more bittersweet than others. Still.
ずっとこのまま。さあ、今度は私のチョコを食べて。きっと美味しいと思う。味見はしてないけどね。
As I watch her feign exasperation ever so cutely, I wish with all my heart for our relationship to continue like this forever. Da, 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 da. But then it started snowing again. Time rolls by like a snowstorm. After much hard work, I finished the script for the wonderful Wizard of Oz to be performed at a recitation, and we're able to start practicing in earnest. I'm playing the part of the scarecrow who's without a brain. Ichiko-san is the Tin Woodman missing his heart, and Ringo-san has taken the role of the Cowardly Lion. Okama-senpai is reading the parts of the eponymous Wizard of Oz and the Good Witch Glinda. Uehara-senpai is in charge of the narration. And the lead role of Dorothy has gone to Rika-san, though not without some protest from her. Sister Basquiat is as passionate about the project as she was during the summer, and we quickly improve under her tutelage. All our free time after class is dedicated to rehearsals, and our rigorous training is producing visible results. Or should that be audible? It's satisfying to bear witness to our obvious improvement, however...
イズニクの隠し棚から見つけた文献のことがおざなりになっている。
Of course they're always at the back of my mind, and I've been trying to make headway with them in every spare moment available to me, but even so... You don't really have many spare moments, do you?
案件はこのまま進めてもよろしいですか?
Isa overrated anyway.
ええ、十分検討しましたし、作成したマニュアル通りに行ってください。
When I give my assent, everyone complies. Sighing internally, I steal a glance over at the hidden bookcase.
ごまかすのばかりが上手になる。
Before, I always ended up focusing all my attention on the main thing worrying me while neglecting everything else. But now I'm far better at splitting my focus between them and keeping the two separate.
なんというか、汚れてしまったような気分。
You said that out loud.
そういえば、白羽会長のお耳には入っていますか?
At a tentative question, I look up at Tsuwabuki-san, who seems to be debating whether or not to elaborate.
それについては、私から話すわ。
Raising her eyes from the documents in her hand, Dika-san pulls her face.
その、
Scary rumors.
またその怖い話七不思議よ
Her brows furrowed distastefully, as though it pains her to even say the words.
七不思議だってもうすべて
No, not quite. I've experienced with the shapeshift of the Dorms, the Wandering Wendigo, the Goddess of Truth, Bloody Mary, the Green Hookman, and the Werewolf of the Bell Tower. But the Tulip of Agape still hasn't revealed itself.
その七不思議
You can see with you. No, you know, I'm like a bat. I scream at things, and then I use the vibrating sounds to gauge where I am. Echolocation. That's why I have 6 ears.
その
A Hookman.
不審のフックマンよ
Again? Hookman. But I've already exposed the truth behind that particular phantom.
夏頃にクラブハウスで目撃されていたフックマンですがまた目撃されているという噂が流れているのですそれは一人二人の見たかもしれないという話ではなくここ数日の間に何人もの生徒が目にしたそうで夜半に目撃されているということですから見間違いの線もあるかもしれませんが
To be fair, it's been a while since the Green Hookman. I don't fully remember what that one was about anymore.
そう
Ah! It's first reading does a little Enjoy lunch. Bring some food back for me, please. The original Green Hookman rumors arose from my own attempts to conceal my identity as I searched the outer room in the club building for clues as to Mayuri's whereabouts.
今さらフックマンが目撃された
Well, maybe someone else is using the exact same thing. It couldn't possibly be Mayuri, could it?
あの日のように私へ会いに来てくれているの実害が出ていないお話だし2回屋の回で動く話ではないと思うけれど
In response to her questioning tone, I buried my emotions deep and told the gathered members that we'll wait and see. Madness, as you know, is like gravity. All it takes is a little push. For some reason, that one light from the dark night hovers in my mind.
疲れた今日もスパルタだったよその通りですがりっちゃんさんやスオちゃんは2回屋の会をこなしつつですからね
You were the ones who
身を
volunteered.
あげるわけにはいきませんよ
Ichigo-san doesn't seem convinced, but Ika-san says something to her which makes her laugh.
歴史のフックマン
I can't get the report about it out of my head. I was behind the original Hookman, which other students then tried to catch a glimpse of, and in doing so ended up themselves becoming Hookmen. Once I had been warned against attempting any more tests of courage, the phantom evaporated. So what was it doing back again? Could it be?
スオちゃんもそう思うよね
I was not listening.
ええねおかしいって言ってたけど名付けて個性が出てしまうものなんだよ私的な友人も猫にサンダルって名前つけていたし
I mean, to be fair, I do want so badly to name a pet Kiwi at some point, but I have so far not encountered any pet that would fit the name Kiwi, but I want to, at some point, have a pet I will call Kiwi.
サンダルサンダルって足に履くそうそのサンダル茶色い猫でいつも平べったくうつ伏せで寝るからサンダルって可愛らしい名前ねでしょあでも一度家に帰ってこなくなっちゃった
Oh, and you're just screaming Sandal the entire time.
私的にも一緒に探しに行ったんだけど
Hi, Sammy! Thank you for the biddies.
探しに出た時にサンダルって名前を呼ぶからすれ違う人に足元見られて辛かったよ
Did you find the cat, though? Everyone laughs at a funny story. I'm not in the right frame of mind to join in, but I managed to force a smile to my face.
それじゃ練習も終わったことだし寄宿舎へ戻りましょうかそうだね練習中は気にならなかったけど寒くなってきたし
Ninga-san nods, assenting with the usual indeed, indeed. I tell him to go on ahead.
どうしたの もしかして居残り練習とか？だったら付き合いますですよ。違うの。教室へ忘れ物をしてしまって取りに行ってくるわね。
On my own.
だったら私も一緒に。
No, on my own.
リッカさんは諏訪吹さんへ申し送りがあったでしょ。そちらを先にお願いできないかしら。
Thank you for the pasta check. Oh, crispy. Seeing the disappointment on her face, I feel a little bad about turning down my amitié partner. Now alone, I head to the corridor that leads to the club building. The evening light is deep and vibrant, falling crimson on the snow like splashes of fresh blood. So, I don't think that's what people usually think when the light is red. Madness, as you know, is like gravity. All it takes is a little push. The line pops into my head again. I imagine myself enchanted by madness and eventually succumbing to it. In my mind's eye, I see Mayuri crunching through the snow toward me, dressed as the Green Hookman. But though the sun sets, though my hands grow numb and my legs turn to ice, though the frozen wind scrapes my cheeks, the Hookman doesn't appear. It's not gonna be that easy, is it? I've been in a constant state of turmoil ever since hearing about the Hookman. I can't focus on anything, not my lessons, my club activities, my council duties, or recitation practice. The only thing on my mind is Mayuri. Each evening, after finishing with rehearsals and heading back to the dorms with the others, I slip out of my room and make my way over to the club building where the Hookman was sighted. You're going to get a cold, a really severe cold, if you keep doing that. I stand frozen in place until the sun sets, waiting for my amitié. Even as the snow swirls around me and my blood runs cold at the ominous howl of the wind, I stay hidden in the shadows, watching and waiting for something to happen. I path without a sign until, eventually, I decide to do something other than just stand around. The wind shakes the window panes in their frames, scrabbling across the glass like fingers trying to find their way in. Usually I'd be too afraid to come anywhere near the dark, silent art room, but today... Maybe she's behind that wall again. The faint hope of reuniting with her wins out over my fear. Leaning back against the chill wall of the room where I once spoke with Mayuri, I pray from the bottom of my heart. My first prayer was never answered, but... I'm not asking for her to be brought before me. I don't even need to see her. Just her voice. No, not even that. All I want is a sign that she's okay. My voice is a hoarse whisper. The scrabbling at the window abruptly stops, and the wind works up to a mocking wail. Is this it? The words are like a curse. My chest constricts and heat flashes through my body as tears well in my eyes. Crying will make it feel real. I fight to hold back the tears, but I'm powerless against the rising tide of emotion within. Alone in the darkened room, all I can do is weep. The more I try to contain them, the bigger my emotions swell. My body burns, my eyes strain. I don't know how much time has passed. The sound of the wind has died down, and a thick silence fills the room in its absence. It's like when I arrived at my grandfather's house. Oh. The walls are close around me, but the space feels dreamlike and untethered from reality. From the other side of the wall, I hear the voice I've been yearning for. The silence stretches on like the eternal torments of hell. I can't be here. Suddenly, the voice of my beloved reaches my ears again, and the euphoria balloons in my chest. What do you mean I can't be here? Why are you here in the middle of the night? A multitude of emotions swell within me, clogging my throat. I haven't heard my pleas and brought her to me. I sense a deep exhaustion behind her words. Her voice is resonant, but she sounds like she's aged. I think back on the girl I met in spring, the vibrant flower blossoming in our classroom, the girl like a sunflower who made me feel like the sun. I don't sense any of that energy from the Mayuri on the other side of the wall. It's like the life is drained from her voice, like the vitality that always shone from her has faded. Like someone has flipped a switch on her back and turned off the lights. The wind dies. My eardrums are drowned by the deafening silence. Unease rushes through me.
私に会いに来てくれたのよね。君が幾度もここへ訪れていることを知って、私は。
She cuts herself off abruptly and silence falls between us again. Oh no.
この不吉な感覚は。
I wrap my arms around myself tightly, trying to quash the horrible niggling feeling now eating at me.
二度とここへ来てはいけない。
She repeats the same worn words and I realize what it is that's bothering me.
待って。私がここへ何度も来たのを知って、マユリが足を運んだのなら。
Is Mayuri herself the hookman? The intimate atmosphere evaporates and I'm blanketed in a darkness that stinks of fear. Oh. Slowly the door to the room opens. And there in the doorway stands a taloned apparition. What? By the time I've realized that it's a phantom conjured by my own fear, Mayuri's presence has vanished.
We're reusing artwork.
All the gin joints in all the towns in all the world, she walks into mine. The line from Casablanca comes to mind when Sister Dahlia stops me as I step out into the corridor after specimen prep. A perfectly ordinary occurrence, right? However...
フックマンの噂が囁かれていることを知っているかしら?
Yep. The opening question is far from usual. The non-ordinary life I chose. As soon as I hear the name Hookman, I think back on my conversation with Mayuri. The very words falling heavily in the close air. What? Close? Close air. Okay. For my silence, the Sister Dahlia intuits that I must already be aware of the rumors. She serves her bangs out of her eyes, revealing a somber gaze.
朗読劇の日が迫っている時に話すことが良いことだとは思わないけれど、フックマンのお話は2回夜の会で把握しているのね。
Yeah, we know.
はい、報告は受けています。そう。それならば詳しい説明は省きますが。
She bites her lips, seemingly reluctant to go on. Given strict adherence to proper etiquette, I'm taken aback to see her make such a gesture. The surprise clears the mental fog that descended on recalling my meeting with Mayuri.
言いづらそうなのは。
Does she want the council to... No, does she want me to seek out the Hookman and resolve the issue? Now that I'm president of the Council of Nikkei, am I expected to personally bring the rumor mill to a halt? I think of Yatsushita-senpai, always so cheerful and likable.
2回夜の会としては、フックマンの噂の元を探すこと、何らかの実害が出ているのなら、見回りなどをしますが。そういったことではないの?
Oh? Sister Dahlia cuts in, her expression still strained. She looks me over. The gaze travels from my face to my chest, down to my arms crossed over my stomach before finally dropping to my feet. At last she seems to resolve herself. She extricates an envelope from the stack of teaching materials she's holding.
実は先だって学院宛てにお手紙があったの。その封筒ですか?
She nods, removing a sheet of notepaper from the envelope. Lowering her eyes to it pensively, she reads it out loud.
この投書を要約すると、噂になっている壁心のフックマンは白羽スオであると記されているの。
I mean, that was true the first time, but huh?
細かな日時が記載されていて、白羽さんがクラブハウスそばに潜んでいたことを記しているわ。
Girl, what? Your art room?
ね、白羽さん。手紙に書かれていることは本当なの?
Huh? It's true that I snuck into the art room after hearing the Hookman rumors and wondering whether Mayuri could be behind them.
なぜそれを。そう。
I can't bring myself to lie. I can't deny that my behavior has been suspicious. I was the one behind the Hookman rumors in the summer too.
私の部屋へ投書してあったのなら、もう少し様子を見ることはできたのだけれど、手紙は学院宛てだから、他の教職員の方もこの手紙の内容を把握しています。
She bites her lip again. I simply wait for it to continue.
しばらくの間、2回夜の会の活動は停止。
3
日間の謹慎処分とします。
Girl?
3日では 朗読劇の本番は白羽さんの役は
What?
誰か別の生徒にやっていただくことになるわね。
Huh? Sister Basquiat issues her pronouncement from between bitten lips. What? What are you going to tell people? Oh yeah, your council president has been suspended for 3 days. Actually, fuck you. Like, a day before the recital, basically. Recitation. Huh? Erika-san exclaims with a feline smile.
今年は当たり年ね。
Her tea partner follows her.
ボージョレ・ヌーボーじゃないんだぞ。それにあれは毎年当たりだろうが。
As she laughs, Erika-san bears down on her, braids bristling.
ちょっと緊急の会議をするからエリカさんを呼んだのよ。茶化すなら帰ってくれる？おお、かわ。おい、お前ら助けてくれよ。このままじゃ委員長に首を絞められちまう。今はボケるところじゃないよ。私的にもこんな時に茶化さないよ。
I mean, couldn't she have just said, yeah, I tried to find the hookman? I was there on those days. Okay. Well, if she did that, she would... she would have still gotten suspended probably for being out of her room after the lights out, blah blah blah.
です。エリカ先生、ジョークは時と場合を選ばないと。いや、だってドラマチックな展開すぎてついなあ。リカさんいや、だってな、別に疑われてもなんてことないだろ。やばくなったらマックイーンばりに大脱走ってなノリで逃げ出せばいい。
Oh. I feel as though there's an unspoken like Yatsushita senpai did at the end of his sentence. The mood in the room is beyond awkward. It's stretched taut with tension.
エリカ先生はスオちゃんがいたずらをしていると思っているですか？
Ingo-san gives voice to the confusion everyone appears to harbor. Inika-san channels Yatsushita senpai with a cynical smile.
お前らは本当にバカだな。何を？ここで落ち込んでる処置仲間がフックマンだって。あのな、E.T. がゴム人形だってことはみんなわかってる。これもそれと同じだ。私はな、当然みんなわかっていて口には出さないことだと思ってたんだよ。大前提として承知してるだろうから冗談で和ませてやったんだよ。
A cat-like smile curls her lips as she speaks. Her words clear the turbid mood and return the smiles to everyone's faces.
そうよね。誤解だってことはみんなわかっているわ。だから謹慎処分なんて許されざることなのよ。せっかく練習した朗読劇も無駄になっちゃうしね。いちごね。
Keep finding them by the way.
Her sister tucks in her sleeve and Ichigo-san claps her hand over her mouth. She sends an awkward look my way.
3日間の謹慎だからちょうど3日目の朗読劇には間に合わないわね。
I say quietly.
白羽さんだって重要な役でしょ。どうするの？それはどうするもこうするも真相を暴くに決まってるだろうが、このままおとなしく沙汰を待つとかバカのやることだぞ。
Beneath the bravado her point is solid, but I...
噂されているフックマンの件、私がやったことにしておいた方が。何を言っているの、スオさん。お前はいつも。
Irika-san scratches her head roughly. She probably understands my true motives.
フックマンを使っていたずらをしているやつを気遣ってるんだろうが、そいつは却下だ。
Good thing you already see it.
気遣うってどうして？噂のフックマンに間違われた。ここまではいい。例えば最悪自分が疑われるような真似をしてしまったとしても頭下げて謝りゃ済む話。バスキア教諭はお前を告発する告発状を持っていたって噂。
When I nod, the others all turn anxious gazes my way.
告発する手紙があったってことは明確に白羽を陥れようとした敵がいるってことだ。そしてそいつがフックマンだということとなれば手紙の主は人を陥れようとしたってことで。ちょっと待って、 白羽さんは告発者のことを気遣って自分が罪をかぶろうっていうの？
Wouldn't be the first time. Akasaki-san's glare is so sharp I have to avert my face.
自分を陥れた相手のことなんて気遣ってる場合？玄関マットみたいに踏みつけられてもあなたは平気なの？
Calm down.
そうですよ。スオちゃんが気遣う必要はないです。でもバカは今までたくさん見てるが、お前はその中でもとびきりだな。ちょっとエリカさん。私も長年バカやってるがこいつはとびきりのバカだ。いいか、お前一人が悪者になったらオールオーケーってな具合にはいかないんだよ。でも蜂の頭もない。私の処置仲間を陥れたやつには相応の罰を受けてもらわなくちゃならない。
She's clearly made up her mind, and although I'm not totally on board, I can't bring myself to reject my friend's concern, and not reluctantly.
よし、とりあえず方針は決まった。告発状を送ったやつを締め上げる。それは早計ではないですか？何？スオちゃんを陥れた告発者がフックマンだと決めつけるのは危うい気がします。告発者は告発者、フックマンはフックマンと分けた方がいいです。
Irika-san nods, admitting that she may have been getting ahead of herself. Ichigo-san comments her sister's thinking, and Inga-san puffs her chest out proudly.
それじゃあまず確認なのだけど、クラブハウスで見かけられているというフックマンは白羽さんではないのよね？まさか。おい、嘘だろ。
I stare bear down on me fans as I tell them that there may have been a misunderstanding.
誤解って、その2階屋の階で初めてフックマンの報告を受けたその日から見つけるためにクラブハウスが見渡せるところで張り込んでいたの。あの日先に帰っていてと言ったのはそのため。
When I affirmed this, she puts her hand to her forehead as though beyond exasperated with my idiocy.
あの日からずっとごめんなさい。謝ってほしくなんてない。私だって副会長なのに。アミティエとして頼ってほしかった。
All I can do is apologize again. There's a reason I couldn't go to Rika-san for help, but that's my own problem.
まあ落ち着けよ、委員長。だってお母さん落ち着いてください。こいつがイラ抜きを回すのはいつものことだろ。
She frowns at Irika-san's teasing tone, but then lets out a long sigh and thanks her.
嫌な予感がしたから尋ねたけれど、これはフックマンは本当に白羽さんが見間違われたっていう可能性も？いえ、それはないですよ。スオちゃんは2階屋の階の報告があってから張り込みをした。
Yeah, there was an original
目撃
hookman.
された最初のフックマンがいる
And
は
then
ずです。
Sue tried to catch that person in the act. Except she's now going to hide the fact that she thought it was Mayuri, and we know it is Mayuri. However, who's the person who's writing down like exactly like the dates and the time she went there? Like I doubt Mayuri would go through the trouble. It's possible, but I doubt she would go through the trouble. So who sent the letter and why?
はい、先生。誰が先生だよ。手紙を送った人ってリンゴが言った最初のフックマンを見たから送ったのかな。それとも張り込んでるスオちゃんを見て。
Because the letter seems extremely mean-spirited. Like, oh, there's this person that is like this time. And they had to be quite close. See that? Same with the whole, oh, and she broke into the other rooms. Like, how would you know? It's one thing if you see her outside the building, but how would you know I went into the art room inside the building unless you were also inside the building? Everyone is allowed the answer to a question. I'm about to say something when I'm brought up short by my amitié partner's murmur.
見張っているところを見られなければこんなことには。
Scratching her head, Irika-san counters that it might actually be a good thing if I was spotted.
ちょっとどういうこと？落ち着けよ。見られていて正解ってのはこの件を解決する肝となるからさ。
Of course.
なあ千鳥、 見ただけでどうして手紙の差出人はフックマンだと断定できたんだと思う？それは手に鍵爪、フックを持っていたからでしょう。この学院では特徴として他に緑色の街灯を着込んでいるそうだけれど。それだよなあ白羽。お前千鳥が言ったようなフックマンの格好をして張り込んでいたんじゃないよな？もちろん違うわ。冬用の外出着よ。これで一つ証明された。告発状を書いたやつは嘘をついている。
She's given voice to the question I myself had. There's a glaring lie in the letter.
確かにそうだわ。
They are.
それじゃ、やっぱり手紙を送った相手がフックマンなの？そいつはまだわからない。可能性は高いと思うがね。だが、無実を晴らせる確率が上がった。どういうこと？告発状は嘘で塗り固められている。真実しか書かれていないのなら、ちょいと汚い裏技を使わなければならないが、そんな真似をしなくとも、嘘ならどんなにうまくついたとしても、必ず穴がある。私たちはどうすればいいの？
Expose the lie.
単純なことだよ。まずはフックマンを見たってやつ
Expose
を
the real
探し出すんだ。
Well, no, we don't want to expose the real Hookman. The real Hookman is Mayuri, but expose the person who sent the letter. What is she, an armchair detective? Was it me who said that, or Chidori? Mamiti has become quite the voracious reader recently, so it wouldn't be out of place for it to have come from her. We've taken on the role of Mama Birds, feeding tidbits of information to Shirahane as she waits out her suspension. And our armchair detective gobbles them down. Thanks to the extensive friend networks of Ichigo and the press, it didn't take too long for us to find students who claimed to have seen the Hookman. In fact, there were more witnesses than expected. We split up into 3 groups, the Sasakis, me and Chidori, and the press, to speak to all the students about their encounters. And as I predicted, we were able to ascertain the existence of a Hookman that wasn't Shirahane. And with the previous sightings, this Hookman was spotted between twilight and midnight. It presented itself physically just as it did in summer, a green overcoat and a hook in its hand. Claims about its appearance are questionable, however. No one really got a good look at the Hookman. It was always from far off, or glimpsed as it cut across the path. People see what they want to see. If it was a dead of night, the green overcoat would appear black, a hatchet for cutting back branches could easily become a deadly hook if their thoughts were already on the Hookman. All the same, as it turned out, the club building wasn't the only place the apparition had been spotted. Sightings were reported around the allotments and on a tree-lined path opposite the dormitories. This was news to us. The Council of Nikaiya had only received reports of it being seen around the club building. The difference piqued my interest, and that of the armchair detectives. That is interesting. I mean, there's still the big mystery of where the fuck is Mayuri staying? As well, because like, she's still very much at the academy. Somewhere. Why would she be at the club building in the middle of the... Start.
I found the bell! Oh my goodness.
Remember some streams ago when I was trying to showcase what it would sound like if you had a bell attached to you the entire time, and I was like, oh man, I can't find it. I just found it. Back to the topic at point. After listening to Etika-san's findings, I nod. I feel like I'm overlooking something, but the Hookman isn't going to reveal itself to me clearly, so in order to get a good look at it... She's right. The recitation is in 2 days.
やっぱり私、ダリア先生へ直訴するわ。スオンさんがそんなことするわけないって。
That's not gonna help.
リッカさん。そうだよ。みんなでお願いすれば優しい先生だもん。
Takasaki-san adds her agreement and everyone gets riled up, talking about going to see Sister Dahlia right this minute until...
落ち着けよ。
Cup of tea in one hand, Etika-san gestures for everyone to sit back down. We touched the bell to know. Oh no! No, because if you did that, we would just have this noise the entire time. I found it just now because I'm jiggling my leg and I was like, what is that thing? It fell to the ground. So I kept hearing this like noise the entire time. I was like, huh, there it is. It's a New Year's Hello Kitty. It's very cute. No, I'm telling you to calm down.
だから落ち着けって。バスキア教諭に頼み込んだってどうしようもないんだよ。どうしてよ。絶対に規律を守りなさいって。そんなに融通が利かない人なの？
She learned a new word and she keeps using it.
バスキア教諭を悪く言うな。あのな、告発状、手紙はダリア先生一人を説得しても意味がない。
She nods and takes a sip of her tea.
で、名探偵は現状を打開するアイデアは見つかったかい？
Maybe. At first I don't realize she's talking to me. I do have a strategy. I don't really want to phrase it, but seeing the earnest appeal in her eyes, I nod hesitantly.
マジかよ。本当なの？
Yeah.
でも、これはあまり褒められた操作方法とは言えないの。今さらそんなこと言っている場合？早く言いなさい。
It's okay, Chidori.
この方法はエリカさんの協力が必須なのだけど。二階屋の会の会長様に一つ貸しができるなら安いもんだ。何をやらせようって言うんだ？
What I'm about to suggest could adversely impact someone Irika-san believes in, so I'm loath to say it, but...
バスキア教諭の部屋に忍び込みたいの。
Nani? I like that the text box is just stuck here. Someone fucked up the transition. We decide to stage our break in the following afternoon, however.
これって新しい錠前だわ。
No! When we pay a reconnaissance visit under the pretext of bringing our lunches back to our rooms.
そういえば、八代先輩が新しい錠前を取り替える旨を二階屋の会で取り上げて。
Damn it! Previously, Irika-san had made short work of the lock on Kubikata-senpai's door, so there had been talk of upgrading the locks for security purposes. But I never expected it to be implemented so soon.
確かに話しちゃいたが、フットワーク軽すぎだろ。
How dare they work fast?
私たちの部屋はこの錠前ではないから、まずは教職員からということなのかしらね。
The new lock is like the automatic locking systems they had at a hotel I once stayed at, having gone to see one of my stepmother's piano recitals.
どうするの？いちごさんたちがダリア先生を引き止めているはずだけど、そんなに長くは持たないわ。
To solve our current mystery, there's something in particular I need from Sister Basquiat's room. Spurred on by impatience, I lay my hand on Irika-san's shoulder.
なんだ、お前がボディタッチとか珍しいな。できれば千鳥がいないところでやってほしいがね。エリカ？騒ぐな、ジョークだよ。何か焦ってるようだが。
She squints at the doorknob, then the keyhole.
よくあるビジネスホテルタイプの鍵だ。
お
い、誰かクレジットカード持ってないか？
She asks us. え？
お金で解決しようってわけ？今は冗談を言ってい
I
る
guess she
場合
knows
じゃ。
several ways on how to break open a lock.
まあ持ってるわけないよな。ならクレジットカードくらいの大きさでそれなりに強度のあるカードはあるか？もしかしてその言い方って。このくらいの錠前なら何とでもなる。そうだ千鳥、お前プラスチック製のトランプのカード持ってたよな。
Oh.
ひとっ走りって取ってきてくれ。
With a muttered of course, Irika-san passes me the item she borrowed from Sister Basquiat's room, then puts her hand to her chin and screws up her face. Hopefully this should provide us with a clue.
でもさすがエリカだね。難しい鍵になっても開けちゃったんでしょ？そのおかげでこの告発状、手紙を手に入れることができた。
Yes, I now have the item I asked Irika-san for.
告発状。
Irika-san murmurs, staring down at the letter in my hand. We all look over the writing on the page.
苦労した割には実りが少なかったわね。 骨を折った相手が目の前にいるのに言っていいセリフじゃないぞ。
Akasaki-san murmurs, then falls silent. Oh, pretty. Who writes a letter like this on paper like that?
フックマンである白羽スオを見た時の日時と気候、場所が記載されている。そして
Fucking nice to meet you.
いたずらをする生徒をどうか責めないであげてください。強すぎる仕置きは体だけでなく心まで傷つけ、自分を見失わせ、都合のいい現実を生み出し、無償の愛でどうか包んであげてください。結びは優しい言葉だけれど、最後にいたずら書きしてやがる。キリスト教的に言えば心優しい隣人ってのを演じてるが。
She points to the bottom of the letter where there's a picture of a reindeer printed on the Christmas-themed stationery. And one speech bubble extends from its mouth.
Nice to meet you. よろしくという意味ね。でも手紙の流れからするとフックマンの真似をした生徒、スオちゃんの処罰を軽くするように書いているように見えるけれど。どうだか。
Erika-san snorts, asking Takasaki-san to bring her a cup of coffee, and run my eyes over the letter again.
何かわかった？
I tell them that there's one strange inconsistency.
この日なのだけど。
I read out the details, time, place, weather, of the sighting that supposedly occurred on the day I met with Mayuri in the art room.
あれ、その日って雪降ってませんでしたか？何？
Erika-san snatches the letter from me and glares down at it like a caterpillar, like something gross.
あの日は確かに雪が降っていた。だが、この手紙では曇天とある。それって手紙の主が嘘をついているってことじゃん。やった！一つも嘘のない記載なら価値はあるけれど、誤りがあるのなら。
She's about to say it would cast the whole thing into doubt, but Erika-san cuts her off.
いや、こいつが正しい。確かのあの日は朝から雪が降ってたが。
Damn it. Her words fall like rain on a bonfire and silence fills the room.
私が悪いのか？そうじゃないけど、せめて吹雪いていたなら雪で見えづらかったとか言えそうなのにね。
Ichigo-san's tone is dejected, but...
雪で見えづらい。何か。
I feel something tugging at me. It's the same horrible niggling feeling that itches at me whenever I can tell I'm missing something. Erika-san picks the letter back up from the desk and stares intently at the handwritten text as though able to see through to the truth behind it.
日時、気候、場所、これらに間違いはない。最後の言葉。
I ask that you please do not condemn the student who committed this prank. Blah 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 blah.
何かが引っかかる。
Rather than overlooking something, I get the feeling that I'm being shown something I don't really want to see. Suddenly a giggle quite at odds with the mood cuts through the tension, and I quickly look up.
ごめんなさい。すごく真剣に見ていたから。
Then Nika-san seems to notice that everyone else is looking at her dubiously, as if to ask what could possibly be funny about the situation. She blinks rapidly and flaps her hands around and loudly proclaiming that she didn't mean it like that.
別に茶化したわけじゃなくて、私には便箋のトナカイを見つめていたように見えたから。
Okay, that is a little funny.
トナカイ。ええ、そうね。このトナカイさん、可愛いものね。ええ、少し前に視聴覚室でみんなで見たジングルオールザウェイって映画を思い出していたの。
Nika-san's voice eased the tense mood and everyone starts talking about how fun the movie was. Recalling the scene where Arnold Schwarzenegger shouts out the names of the 8 reindeers, I find myself smiling too.
トナカイの名前、背中に書かれている数字。もしかしたら。
Puzzle pieces that were all jumbled together suddenly slot neatly into place, forming a complete picture in my mind. Oh, hell yeah!
困っている時に助けてくれるのは。
I don't know the movie, so I don't know what exactly we gained from this, but we gained something. Let's go!
スオさんがそう言ってくれるのは嬉しいわ。
Feeling my mature partner's soft warm body in my arms, I think about what this letter really means. Oh yes, yes. Do I get to solve it? No. The bigger the man, the deeper the footprint, and if he loves, he suffers, knowing it's a dead-end street. I think of the line from Cinema Paradiso. Gazing out the window, I see the faint trace of footsteps on a snowy path and wonder whether my own footprints remain stamped on her heart. Hers still stand out in sharp relief on my own. They left deep, indelible marks. Turning away from the window, I murmur aloud that I'm doing the same thing again. Although this time I'm in the opposite position. Back then, Yatsushita-senpai was the one. Memories surface like old wounds as I stand there in the close, quiet darkness. I shake my head to clear it, then begin to sort out my thoughts so that I can approach what I need to do in the right order. Oh yes! Yeah! One by one I'll tease out the facts I need from the information I've gathered. First, the information gathered due to everyone's efforts and the contents of the letter, the proof that I'm not the hookman. What proves that Sue Shirahane is not the hookman? There was information that could only have been obtained at close range. This should persuade them, but in order to convince them that I'm not the culprit, I may have to give them the real culprit's name and motive. Indeed, there's a secret hidden in the letter. What is a secret hidden in the letter? Which of the Council of the Nikaiya? This is the truth I've arrived at thanks to everyone's investigative efforts. And now the name of the person who sent the letter. Who sent the letter? Din 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 din. Save point here, because there's a bad ending you can get for this if you say the wrong name. The person we're supposed to say is this one. After I finish piecing everything together, I realize that something still feels slightly off. There's something I haven't quite digested. I'm trying to shake the queasy feeling in my stomach when a noise heralds the arrival of the person I've been waiting for. You're supposed to be spending your suspension in your room. Sister Basquiat steps into the room. The words are accompanied by a reproachful look.
手紙を返すという投書はあなたがしたことなのですか?
I like how often we meet her in this room. It's just like, we're gonna have a great 3 years at this academy together. Believe me, lady. You're still hiding something. I'm gonna find it. I am. I had Ichigo-san leave a note outside Sister Basquiat's room, summoning her here.
はい。私がバスキア教諭を招くためにしたことです。私の部屋からあの手紙を盗んだのも。
I mean, how else would I have gotten it? The accusatory word is like a stab to the chest, but I straighten my posture, unwilling to bow to the suspicion I've seen in her eyes ever since she handed down my suspension, and nod slowly but firmly.
やはり。
Sister Basquiat signs a cross in front of her chest. I tell her that at first I thought maybe it was fine for me to be the hookman.
なんですって? この手紙が告発した通り、初めは私がフックマンでもいいと思っていました。なぜなら、私が自分の疑いを晴らすことで、本物のフックマンが糾弾されてしまうことになるからです。それは
Why did I always think she had long hair? If you only see this sprite, I always thought she had long hair in the back, but she has short hair actually. Huh? I think I hear her murmur the phrase self-sacrifice. I look her straight in the eyes. ですが、私を推薦してくれた佐々木いちごさん、りんごさん、誰よりも練習を頑張っていたりっかさん、合間に指導してくれたエリカさん、千鳥さん。朗読劇に参加する2年生のお二人にも迷惑をかけてしまう。白羽さんのお気持ちは分かりました。ですが、朗読劇は明日。真相はすでに分かっています。 My statement echoes in the gloom. It feels like my words themselves are petrified, along with the air through which they now reverberate. Here in this still and silent space, it feels as though the only thing moving is the gaze of my stepmother as she tries to ascertain what's happening.
真相が分かっている? ですが、フックマンは
Sister Basquiat's soft, bewildered voice shatters the frozen air. I hold out the letter to her. 私を糾弾するこの手紙の中には、私を見たという詳しい日時、天候、場所が書き連ねられています。それが誤りだというのですか? いいえ、恐ろしく正確でした。この手紙通り、確かに私はあの場に潜んでいた。 She falls silent, searching my eyes. Her probing gaze reminds me of how Yatsushiro-senpai would look inside me. この手紙での唯一の相違点は、日時でもなく、気候でもなく、場所でもない。
私はフックマンの紛争をしていないということです。
それは
私が嘘をついてるとお思いですか？ですが、フックマンの格好は緑色の街灯に手には鍵爪。この
以前夏に起きたフックマン騒動で学院指定のレインコートと枝打ちの棒などを持っていれば錯覚するだろうという話を聞いています。
That had been Irika-san's suggestion when she had put the Hookman incident to rest in front of everyone. I nod.
確かに人は錯覚してしまうこともあります。見たいものを見てしまう。私がレインコートを着込み凶器を手にしていたらそう見えてしまうでしょう。
でしたら
ですが、ここで一つ疑問が残ります。私が紛争していたのなら、なぜ黒いレインコートを緑色だと手紙の送り主は思ったのでしょうか。
Sister Basquiat falls silent again, staring down at her feet for a long moment before answering.
八重垣さんのお話でも目の錯覚だと話していました。白羽さんが目撃されたのは夕暮れ。黒いレインコートが遠くからは緑色に見えてしまったのでは。
And there we have it. I heave an internal sigh of relief. From the corner of the room, my stepmother cackles.
つまり、バスキア教諭は手紙の送り主が遠くから私を見ていたと？
ええ。
では、なぜ告発者はそのフックマンを私だと断言できたのでしょうか。
Hi, Humpy. Oh, okay. Thank you for the pet, Akira. Just checking in. Ah, yes. One of our newest ones.
黒いレインコートが夕映えであやふやになるほど遠くから見ていたのなら、
Oh.
相手はどうやって
Oh yeah, I
私
should
の
clean
顔
my
を
room
指名して
sometime
い
as
たの
well.
ですか？
She seems finally to grasp the meaning behind my words. Looking down at the letter still clasped in my hand, she wraps her hand over her forehead.
フックマンの紛争を完全に行うなら、目深にフードをかぶっていなければならない。なおさら顔を確認しづらい。
I push on.
確かに2回への回でフックマンの噂を聞き、一人で調べていたことは事実です。ですが、その時も私の周りに顔を確認できるほど近くにいる人物などいなかった。
では
行動を読み予測して書いたものだと推測しています。私の性格を知る者なら、フックマンの事件が解決するまで捜索することは容易に判断できる。この手紙が予測を含むものとして伺えるのは、日時は正確ですが、初めて私がフックマンを探索した日は含まれ、
I show her how, even though I set out to solve the Hookman mystery on the very day the council received the report, that date isn't included in the letter.
つまりこの手紙は
私を陥れるための罠。
Strictly speaking, that's not entirely the truth, but it's a palatable enough version.
バスキア教諭から教職員の方たちへ誤解であると話をしていただけますか？
Whether or not I'm permitted to perform in tomorrow's recitation, I wanted to end my suspension at least. I don't know what's going through Sister Basquiat's head right now, and I don't think this long silence tells me much.
なるべくならあの人の名前を出したくはないけれど。
And I had to choose it in here in the thing though, so I don't think we're getting around that soon. But I don't want to render my friends' inconsiderable efforts useless due to my own selfishness.
この手紙、
はい。
この手紙には嘘だけでなく様々な意図が隠されていました。
手紙に何かしらの思惑を潜ませているということですか？
Nodding, I move closer to Sister Basquiat and hold the letter out before her.
この便箋ですが、イラストが描かれていますよね。
ええ。トナカイのこれは数字？
She squints down at it. She had probably already seen the words coming out of the reindeer's mouth, but without noticing the numbers on his back.
私はこれが手紙の送り手が私へと向けたメッセージだと考えています。
これが
She stares down at the page. I ask her whether she's aware that Santa Claus has other reindeers besides the famous Rudolph.
赤花のトナカイ、ルドルフを除いたハット、ダッシャー、ダンサー、プランサー、ビクセン、ドナー、ブリッツェン、キューピッド。
I did not know all of those names. What? Sister Basquiat says that she learned the names from a poem, and I tell her I learned them from a movie.
8頭のトナカイの名前にはそれぞれ意味があります。例えば2番手を走るダンサーはその名の通り踊り手、7番手のドナーは雷鳴という風に。
That it does.
もしかしてこのトナカイの背にある数字は
1&4、一番前を走るダッシャーは突進者、そして4番手のビクセンは口やかましい女。
I point to the final word of the letter, regards.
手紙の送り主は突進者花菱立花さんと口やかましい女八重垣エリカさんへよろしく伝えてくれというメッセージを込めたのでしょう。
I will be very, very honest. I have no idea what she's talking about anymore. It's convoluted, but then again, that's their style. I can't help but smile as I remember how particularly fond they were of Rika-san and Erika-san.
一体
I haven't said who's behind the letter, but I'm sure that a picture is emerging in Sister Basquiat's mind. With my stepmother's glare following my every move, I feel out how much I should say.
そして送り主は自分が誰かを知ってほしかった。告発状に書かれた。
I ask that you please do not condemn the student who committed this prank. Ba 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 ba. I read the final few sentences aloud. Sister Basquiat tenses as my cold voice echoes hollowly through the
こ
room.
の結びの文にも意味が隠されています。それは送り手が私と彼女だけしか知り得ない情報を混ぜているのです。
Selfless love.
キリスト教で示されるはアガペ。
Losing sight of yourself, seeking refuge in your own convenient version of reality.
やめなさい。
Just as I'm about to speak the word that only she and I have discovered, Sister Basquiat cuts me off, her words sharp as icicles. I close my mouth.
それ以上必要ありません。
Why didn't I notice before? Sister Basquiat's eyes are devoid of emotion, as dull and cold as a midwinter sky. I've had many fearful encounters in my life. Those who have lost their hearts. Those who love no one but themselves. Those who only hurt others through their own weakness. And yet,
バスキア教諭。
the woman standing before me now is something quite different. She reminds me of those strange chimerical creatures that live in the dark and cold of the ocean depths.
承知しました。
え？
白羽さんの述べた言葉には誠があると信じます。
I don't feel any happiness.
明日の朗読劇、楽しみにしていますよ。
In Dalia Basquiat's eyes, I see a ghost different from that of my stepmother, and all I can do is stare after her in silence as she walks away. I'm gonna get her sometime, hopefully, in this game. You can't hide forever! The reindeer is very cute, yeah. Sister Basquiat convinces the rest of the faculty that the suspicions levied against me were all a misunderstanding, and my suspension is quickly lifted. In the end, the Hookman sightings are written off as cases of mistaken identity and everything calms down. However, I know the truth. I know that there was a Hookman. I was convinced it was Mayuri, but considering the circumstances, I'm now sure that a certain other person was involved. At any rate, everyone is delighted for me, not least my amitié partner who led the charge. Surprisingly, so is everyone on the Council of Nikaea. During my suspension, I was forced to step down temporarily from my council duties. The news of the stepping down seems to have caused a lot of anxiety for the other members. They were worried apparently that the faculty would deem the measures I passed and the agendas I approved inappropriate. Though it was a futile endeavor, they appealed against my suspension, but of course the faculty were swift in their dismissal. Still, the newly appointed disciples of the Council of Nikaea must have worried that it was somehow their fault. So I was surprised when all the members of the group turned up at my room in the middle of the night to check on me. However, I too am wrestling with anxiety. Those I saw in Sister Basquiat's eyes that day. At first it was unfamiliar, like some alien thing I'd never encountered before. However,
目は 父の目だ。
Eh? Yes, I knew that look. I'd seen it in my gentle father's eyes from time to time. Or was it? Was what I had seen reflected in his eyes the ghost of my birth mother? And if the look in his eyes was the same as that in Sister Basquiat's, was there something in his emotional connection to my mother of which I was never aware? My mother was always such a chatterbox, and yet after she passed away, he introduced my taciturn stepmother to our lives. We don't know anything about her actual birth mother, that's surprising. Feeling unease well within me, I looked toward the wings. Despite my apprehension, there was no sign of my stepmother. Instead, I only saw Ogihara-senpai talking to Hokama-senpai. The thought comes to me suddenly, perhaps because I've been thinking of my father. I've wondered about my name before, and I recall talking to my father about it. A common homework assignment in elementary schools to ask your parents about the origins of your own name. A name is the first gift that parents give their children. When I asked my father where Suho came from, yes, that was when his eyes first took on the same shade I saw in Sister Basquiat's. Seeing this for the first time, I went and said to my mother, and she told me that my father had decided on it after several days of intense consideration. Okay. She told me that because I was the first child, he had put a great deal of thought into it. Apparently my father displayed Chinese redbuds in his room only on particular days. Redbud, the Judas tree. Did he know the anecdote that Judas Iscariot hanged himself from such a tree? Did he know that it symbolized betrayal? Oh, I hear the name of the betrayer. The time has come. What? What? Hey! The shuddering crowd falls silent as the opening is announced. I look around at the others. Dressed in outfits made specially for the recitation, Nika-san, Ichigo-san, Ringo-san, Hagiwara-senpai, and Hokama-senpai all look excited despite their evident nerves. The lead, Nika-san, utters a quiet prayer, and we all follow suit. The moment she murmurs to me, the dark ominous clouds that had been rolling within my chest are swept away. The curtain slowly starts to rise. Please don't have any text in areas that you cannot see on stream again. The Wonderful Wizard of Oz.
Kansas 州にある広大な平原の真ん中に、ドロシーは農夫のヘンリーおじさんと M おばさん、そして子犬のトトと住んでいました。
Hagiwara-senpai, who is in charge of the narration, reads out the opening lines of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. Mm.
遠くから吹く北風がむせび泣くような風音を奏で、鳴き声とともに麦の穂が嵐の前触れにざわざわと揺れ波立つのが見えました。
It would be easy to assume that the narrator simply has to read out the lines, but it's actually a difficult role. Abandon emotion entirely and it becomes flat and monotone. Inject too much and the lines become muddy.
M, 竜巻が来るぞ。家畜たちを見てくる。
Wow, that's a strong voice. Okama-senpai is playing the part of Uncle Henry, projecting her lines at a volume you wouldn't expect a tiny frame to be able to produce. When she first approached the difficult challenge of voicing every side character, there was an audible apprehension in her voice. Good job.
ドロシー、早く花蔵へ隠れていなさい。
Skillfully differentiating Ondam's voice, she conveys the tension of the scene. Hagiwara-senpai continues on with her narration, telling how poor Dorothy and Toto are swept up in a cyclone and transported to the magical land of Oz, house and all. Then,
今、あなたが喋ったの？
scenes progress until Nika-san as Dorothy meets me, the scarecrow without a brain.
仰せの通り、私が呼びかけました。お嬢さんはご機嫌いかがかな？私はとても元気よ。あなたは？ とてもご機嫌とは言えません。
Just as we practice, Nika-san conveys Dorothy's innocent youth and fierce spirit.
ずっとここにとどまり続けているのです。カラスを追い払わなくちゃいけないのでね。
And I play my part as a sweet but foolish scarecrow. Dorothy and the Scarecrow's meeting. It reminds me of the spring, her walking boldly in the sun, me holding back in the shadows, no idea of who I truly was. Untouched by my inner reminiscences, the story flows as swiftly as the winter skies.
エメラルドの町へと続く黄色いレンガ道へと戻った時です。どこからかうめき声が聞こえ、ドロシーは飛び上がるほど驚いたのでした。
何の声？うめいているように聞こえるけれど。さあ、何の声か見当もつかないな。
Following the sound of the groans, they made their way into the forest to find.
もしかして、うめいていたのはあなた？そうです、そうです。かれこれ1年以上うめいているのです。でも、これまで誰も聞いてくれなかったし、助けに来てもくれなかった。はあ。
Ichigo-san is perfectly cast as a cheerful, witty Tin Woodman. However,
ねえ、あなたを助けるのにはどうしたらよいの？油差しを取ってきて、錆びた体のつなぎ目刺してください。私の小屋にあるので取ってきてはくださいませんか？
I can't help but see Yatsushiro-senpai and the Tin Woodman missing his heart. Ever since I first put pen to paper, it was her face that I saw as I wrote.
あなた方は私の恩人だ。お二人が通りかからなかったら、ずっとこの森の中で朽ち果てていたでしょう。
Tin Woodman conveys his gratitude and joins the others on the way to the Emerald City in order that he may find himself a heart.
あなたトトに噛みつこうとしたわね。あなたみたいに大きなライオンが小さな子犬に噛みつこうだなんて恥を知りなさい。分かっているよ。分かっているんだ。
Ringo-san plays the meeting with the Cowardly Lion to perfection. She draws out his timidity and lends a comic edge to his exchange with Dorothy. The brand new dialogue I wrote draws laughter from the audience, and my heart glows warmly in my chest.
見上げるほどに大きなライオンをいぶかしがりながらドロシーは尋ねます。どうしてそんなにも臆病なのかを。
それは生まれつきなんじゃないかと思う。どうしても周りの動物が怖くて仕方がないんだ。でも僕はこの通り体が大きいだろ。だから恐ろしくとも一声うなれば皆逃げていく。僕に向かってきた勇気のあるものは君が初めてだよ。
The exchange between Dorothy and the Cowardly Lion continues. I was thinking of Yatsushiro-senpai when I wrote the part of the Tin Woodman, but when I wrote the Cowardly Lion, it was Komikado-senpai who came to mind for whatever reason. She was beautiful and kind, but also somewhat eccentric. Why I saw her in the Cowardly Lion is a mystery to me. Cowardly Lion declares that he will journey with the others to get himself some courage. The recitation progresses. On the journey, they have many adventures. The group work together to cross a great river. They shake off the poppy's allure of eternal sleep. They are rescued by the queen of the field mice. Eventually, they arrive at the Emerald City.
私の名はオズ。恐ろしく偉大な魔法使い。お前は誰で何を望む？
はじめまして、私はドロシー。偉大なあなたへ助けてほしくてお願いに来ました。
Will hears Dorothy's plea but tells her that he requires something of equal value in return.
願いを叶えるために邪悪な西の魔女を殺せ。
At first, Dorothy weeps, upset at the unreasonable demand. She recovers her inborn courage, however, and sets out on a quest to find the witch. Then, as a journey to find the Wicked Witch of the West. As they journey.
どうしてそんなに恐ろしい顔をするの？ここは魔法の国。自分がもう一人増えたところで驚くことはないでしょ？
The battle begins. The battle between Dorothy and her shadow, the other Dorothy. This is my original contribution to the story.
あなたは私なのよ。なぜ私たちへ意地悪ばかりするの？
意地悪？それは違うわ。鏡なのよ、ドロシー。あなたたちの愛情は私にとっての憎しみ。意地悪は愛情なの。
ドロシーはひどく恐ろしくなりました。影のドロシーの物言いではありません。自分の心の中にあのような気持ちがあったことを知ったからです。
The audience is engrossed, listening intently to this brand new story that deviates from the Wizard of Oz they know. Nika-san skillfully emotes Dorothy's conflict. Ichigo-san's witty Tin Woodsman supports her. Ringo-san's cowardly lion screws up his courage and fights back the assassin sent by the other Dorothy. The brainless scarecrow played by me tries simply to protect his friends.
そうね。あなたの言う通りだわ、ドロシー。でも私の告げた言葉もまた真理なのよ。なぜなら私の言葉は真実。混じり気のない心から生まれた言葉なのだから。
消えゆく自分の影を見て、ドロシーは肉をそがれるような痛みを味わいました。でも痛みがある方がまだいいと思い直します。本当にまずいのは痛みすら感じなくなった時だからと。
Okama-senpai's voice, the other Dorothy's loneliness, echoes across the stage. The narration Hagiwara-senpai spins elicits tears from the audience. We get through the most difficult parts, the twist, without a hitch, and I allow myself an internal sigh of relief. Now we're headed toward the denouement? Raising my eyes from my script, I gaze out at the sea of glimmering eyes. I no longer sense among them the ghostly shadows I did at the start. I don't even sense the ever-present spectre of my stepmother. And yet... From behind the gauzy curtain covering the entrance to the small antechamber at the back of the underground theater, I see two figures and my eyes show me a phantom. The blue butterfly I saw with my grandfather dances around their silhouettes, fluttering close. A shadow of fear crawls its way up my spine. I can tear my gaze away from the butterfly as it waves in the air. Then, Abruptly, without warning, I remember asking my father why he displayed the Chinese red blood only on certain days. My father answered with a terribly sad look on his face. And after that, I no longer tried to ask about my name. Couldn't. In my heart I grew to harbor two competing desires, an urge to know the truth and a wish not to upset my father. At last all that was left was a twisted hunger, a desire to pursue the truth. Like a shipwreck at the bottom of the deep dark ocean waiting to be dredged up. And I believe that one day, my father will tell me.
Well, tell me!
I want to know too. Dark thoughts churn within me as I listen to the blizzard batter the window. Welcome back! Each strong gust that rattles the panes is a green-coated figure tapping the sharp tip of its hook against the glass. Although the window is shut tight, drafts find their way through invisible gasps to run their icy fingers down my cheeks. With the lights and heating turned off, the air in the darkened library is so cold it feels like a thin layer of ice must have frozen across it. I stand stock still, the cold seeping up through the soles of my feet to freeze my entire being.
No food for me, aww.
Abruptly realizing I rub the backs of my hands, but find them numb and without feeling. What am I doing here in this gloomy library in the dead of night? I think back on what happened just a few hours earlier. Our evening recitation in the St. Joseph Theatre went off without a hitch to a thunderous reception. Even after the curtain fell, the applause continued unabated, and not only from our fellow first-year students, but from second and third years too. The cast of the show gathered in my room for a small celebration of our success. Erika-san and Takasaki-san also joined us, having helped with our rehearsals. We enjoyed fragrant tea and sweets supplied by the attendees. The special tea prepared by my amitié partner was so obviously a cut above what we usually drank that a single sip had us looking at one another in amazement. Perhaps because of the rush of endorphins brought on by our success, even the reticent Hagiwara-senpai was able to join in our chat. And I was even able to coax Hokama-senpai out of her shell. I found out that her hobby was collecting minerals. As I was enjoying the conversation, I felt a tug on my sleeve, and I heard a low voice at my ear. I want to talk to you in private. Oh? Rubbing my forearms against the cold I'm now aware of, I addressed the girl who asked me here. I asked Erika-san what it is she wants to discuss. Seemingly impervious to the cold, she directs her cat-like smile at me, but I'm confused. Of course, she shrinks back slightly but conspicuously.
こんなことでシェイプシフターだってことがバレちまうなんてね。まだ前の持ち主の記憶がうまく馴染んでないようだ。呼び出したのがお前でよ。
Can you just talk like a normal person for once? She flashes me a sinister smile, then slowly moves toward me with a sound like a squeaking bat.
ゼイリブを見たことがないのか？メガネを委員長に借りてこいよ。
Lips curve into a crescent moon as a strong gust hammers against the window. The temperature in the dark library seems to drop another notch.
と、まあ冗談はこれくらいにして。さっさと本題に入ろう。こんな場所で長々話してちゃ。
With that, her expression reverts back to her usual disdainful smile, a sight for sore eyes.
心臓に悪いわ。
おいおい。 ゼイリブみたいに入れ替わってるなんてマジで思ったんじゃないだろうな。だ
ってその場所というか、
まあなかなかに舞台効果が高そうってのはあるか。だがこっちが悪乗りしたのは。
You're being evasive, she finishes.
はぐらかしたって。
察しがいいお前なら呼び出した意味が分かっていると思ったんだがな。それともこの後に及んでまだ煙に巻こうってのか。 あの告発状だよ。私たちが得た情報から答えを引き出し、バスキア教諭から誤解を解くことに成功した。
She moves her wheelchair another step closer and faces me head on, her expression serious.
誰が言うだと？
みんなの前だから口には出さなかったが、あの告発状の内容は詳しすぎる。お前をよく知った奴が出したものだ。ただ身近にいたって人物じゃない。性格、行動を読んだ上での内容だった。
She glares at me, pulling her face like she's bitten into a lemon. She's trying to see through to my true motives.
仲間の中にユダがいる。お前はもう分かっているんだろう。
Mogus.
She's right about one thing.
確かに寄宿舎でおいそれとできる話ではないわ。
Now I understand why she brought me out to the library in the dead of night to talk.
こ
However,
の人の名前を出すのは
Yatsushiro Senpai. Although the letter was accusatory, it wasn't intended to hurt me. I believe there was a hidden intention behind it. I believe that Yatsushiro Senpai hoped I would intuit her hidden message to me from the contents of the letter, which means that the letter wasn't malicious in nature. It hides some kind of secret code that relates to the tulpa of Agape and Shion Basquiat.
へえ、だんまりか。
違うの。
ならどんなつもりなんだ。私にも話せないことなのか。答えろ。
Despite her harsh tone, Irika-san looks like she's about to burst into tears. She's like a sensitive little girl who's been betrayed by her parents for the first time. The window panes clatter in their frames. She gives a self-deprecating shrug of her shoulders. Jesus Christ.
答えは風の中にってか。ボブ・ディランじゃないんだぞ。
There's no bite to her usual banter, and
これって
suddenly I catch a whiff of a familiar scent. Has the wind caught the fragrance of the flower and carried it through the cracks?
そんなはずはない。この時期に校舎の周りには花は咲いていない。
Which means
人は見たいものしか見ない。
the words shattered the icy air of the cold dim room. Of course, it was neither me nor Erika-san who spoke them.
そうだ。この香りは
The clack of footsteps echoes through the library as the two shadows grow nearer. Lily of the Valley, that's the flower I can smell. As they approach, the hazy black shape resolve into distinct, recognizable forms. Hey! Oh!
シロ先輩。
Ayo!
コミカドネリの
She cut her hair! Two girls appeared before us like ghosts from the gloom. Yatsushiro-senpai is wearing her trademark cynical smile. Nirineko Mikado is staring at us, her face pale and expressionless. No, she looks like she's assessing us, evaluating us. I see that her long golden hair has been chopped short.
どうした？久しぶりの再会だ。喜んでくれないのかい？
八代先輩、どうして？
どうして？つまらない返しだ。ここは感激して抱きしめ合う場面だろう。そうだよな、八重垣くん。
Irika-san has been staring at Yatsushiro-senpai as though she really has seen a ghost, but these words finally snap her out of it and she lets out a long breath of air.
あんた、本当に八代先輩なのか？
幽霊にでも見えるのかい？ほら、しっかりと2本の足がついている。まあ、シェイプシフターかもしれないけどね。
I look between Yatsushiro-senpai with her unwavering sardonic smile and Kumikado-senpai.
私を見忘れたのかしら。随分と薄情な後輩ね。
Oh, why did you cut your hair so short? She regards her with the cruel, unfeeling eyes. It's hard to believe that those icy words are coming from Nirineko Mikado, former vice president of the Council of Nikkei.
八代先輩、なぜ？
それは僕が送った手紙のことを言っているのかな？
Why are you asking about me sniffing around disguised as the Hookman? She questions me.
あんたが
乱暴な物言いね。口の利き方に気をつけなさい。
Hey! Irika-san falls silent at her words, sharp and cold as icicles. Itsushiro-senpai scratches her temple and then chuckles awkwardly.
いいんだネリー。口が悪いのは彼女のチャームポイントだからね。だが君の質問に答えるならイエスだ。僕が白羽ス王を害する目的で手紙を送った。
She informs me cheerfully, her out-of-place smile never wavering. I can't whisper that word. Why?
嘘ですよね。そんなわけない。あの手紙には私へ向けて何か意味が、鍵があるのですよね。
ああ、そうなんだ。 あの手紙には君にしか解けない秘密が隠されていた。
やっぱり
Thick slush sitting unpleasantly on my chest melts away, and I finally release a little sigh of relief. But then a faint sound reaches my ears. It grows until the two shadowy figures are cackling uncontrollably.
鍵だって小説や映画好きの悪いところだ。全てに意味を見出してしまう。あれはただの嫌がらせだよ。
手紙を出してよかった。とても素敵な顔を見ることができたもの。
I hear a familiar bat-like squeak move in their direction. Irika-san.
そうかい。仲間の中に裏切り者がいると踏んではいたが、まさかあんただったなんて。
とても楽しかったでしょ。
ああ、最高に笑えたよ。秋の自分には随分と骨を折って助けてやった相手がこんな人でなしだったなんてな。
まあそんなものはない。僕はブリキの木こりだ。ハートを持ち合わせていないんだよ。
Her lips curl into a crimson crescent moon, but Irika-san's face was the disconcerting smile head on.
友人に裏切られショックのようだね。
あんたも友だと思ったことはない。
Irika-san spits out the words, but Yatsushiro-senpai tells her that's not true.
そんな心にもないことを言わなくていい。僕にはわかる。目を見れば君の中の部屋が覗ける。
何を言ってやがる。
僕が目から心を覗けなかったのは今までで一人だけだ。八重垣くんが抱いている。
Cutting herself off, she glances from Irika-san to me, then, saying that she's not going to follow the line of thinking any further, she smooths down the back of her hair and turns to face me fully.
真実の女神に近づいてはならない。
I will do what I want, she tells me.
何を。
言葉通りの意味だ。もう探偵ごっこは終わりにするんだ。やるだけやって気が済んだだろ。
Nah, she left us with a hint. Before she left the academy, and now she's pretending, ooh, we were never friends. We did this specifically to hurt you. Why? Yeah, no, I'm asking myself the same question.
ふざけないでください。あなたが私を焚きつけたんですよ。アガペのタルパのことも。
タルパ、そいつは。
おや、八重垣くんには話していたのかな。ダメじゃないか。それは二階屋の会の会長だけの秘密だろ。
You can fucking tell me what to do if you're having your little villain arc here.
そうか、タルパ。あんたが白羽に何か吹き込みやがったんだな。
So where did they get their clothes from? I thought they were not in the academy anymore.
嫌だわ。親切心からなのに。
三下に用はないんだよ。答えろ。
マルタの鷹と同じだ。人々の間を巡る者には必ず理由がある。
The Maltese Falcon? For a moment I'm confused by the mysterious reference.
忠告はした。これ以上探るなら排除しなくてはならない。
Abruptly, as though having suddenly lost interest in us, the pair turn to leave. Irika-san is immediately hot on their heels, calling out to them to stop.
これ以上話すことはない。
ふざけるな。そっちにはなくてもこっちにはあるんだよ。
見苦しいわね。
Irika-san grabs hold of Yatsushiro-san's sleeve to prevent her from leaving, tugging again with all her strength.
いい加減にしろ。
Oh! Yatsushiro-senpai roughly brushes her hand away, causing Irika-san to lose her balance. Before she even has time to cry out, she's been sent sprawling to the ground.
エリカさん。
I rush to her side. I call her name and shake her, but she's unresponsive.
答えて。目を開けて。
Still nothing. She must have hit her head. Even as an icy chill crawls up my spine, my cheeks are warmed by the heat of my anger.
忠告を無視するからこうなる。賢い君はわかるね。
Yeah, and you're in your asshole arc? What's happening? Above my head, I hear the chirp of Yatsushiro-senpai's voice, but... I don't comprehend what she's saying. My heart is pounding like a drum and my limbs are clumsy and numb. Iriga Yaigaki, my dearest friend. As I clutch your limp body in my arms, it seems to grow heavier and colder, fanning my fears. All I can do is let my tears fall onto her cheeks. Is that... what? Why are we switching to you? As I read through the letter, something occurs to me. Those closest to the girls must not have noticed the changes occurring between them.
当事者が気づかないわけがないと恋愛映画を見て思う時がある。あれほど好意を示されてなぜ気づかないのかと。しかし私はこの手紙を読み解き、彼女たちの行く末を知ると、そのツボは子供心にも見事で、たまに祖父が見せてはくれたけれど決して手に取らせてくれることはなかった。陶器を鑑賞するためだけの台座に置き、眺めるとその壺には小さな花弁が花吹雪のように舞っている模様が描かれていた。見事な細工にその模様を確かめようと目を近づけてみると、なぜだか途端に継承としての意味をなさなくなった。しかし離れてみるとそれは心を奪うほどに美しい意象と変化する。きっと二人の関係もそうだったのだろう。互いに違いを意識し、強い絆で結ばれている。
I like that the text is so long I can't even see it anymore.
それは近づきすぎると見えなくなってしまうのだ。
Hello?
それは
Sorry, what's the last line say? Oh, cool. Wow. Thank you, Backlog. What the fuck?
クラスの中心にいる優秀な彼女ではなく、彼女のアミティエが選ばれたことから小さくだが確かなほころびが生じた。クラスメートたちも本気ではなかったのだろう。でもなぜあの子がと選ばれなかった彼女へ嫉妬という不和の空気を入れたことは確かだ。擁護する言葉に乗せられた彼女はアミティエへ心ない言葉を吐いてしまう。意地になった彼女はその亀裂を直すことはなかった。自信のあったバレエでも試験の際にプレッシャーから失敗し、アミティエよりも劣った成績を受けてしまう。私は悔しいとは思わなかった。彼女が努力していたことを知っていたから。で、近すぎたからこそ些細なほころびが許せなかったし、そのほころびは近すぎたゆえに別の傷に見えたのだろう。きっと私のアミティエは私を許しはしないだろう。最初に手を差し出した私が握った手を払うような真似をしてしまったのだから、嘆く言葉は幾枚にもわたって続く。だが少しずつだけれど、どうにかして仲直りをしたいという気持ちに移り変わっていった。私は近すぎた彼女たちも程よい距離へと戻るだろうと安堵した。しかし最後に殴り書きにされたかのような文字に、私は恐れを抱かずにはいられなかった。ああ、そうだ。私は向き合わなければならなかったんだ。意固地になったせいでアミティエは二度とグリム童話に歌う骨と呼ばれる一編がある。
Singing bone.
危険なイノシシを退治した者に王女を嫁にやろうというお触れに、貧しい兄弟はイノシシ退治をすることにした。そして弟は奇妙な出会いから黒い杖を手に入れ、不思議な杖でイノシシを退治してしまう。
Oh, I don't have that one in my
弟は
book.
喜び勇み、イノシシを抱え城へ向かう途中に泥酔した兄と出会い、 イノシシを仕留めたことを知った兄は手柄を横
I've
取り
heard
す
that
るため
story
に
before though.
弟を殺してしまった。弟の亡骸を橋のたもとに埋め、城へと向かい、イノシシを退治したと嘘をつき、褒美として王女と結婚する。兄は何不自由なく暮らしていた。しかしある時、羊飼いが橋のたもとで亡き弟の骨を見つけ、笛を作ると、笛は吹いてもいないのに歌を歌い出す。あなたが吹く笛は私の骨。兄に殺されて埋められてしまった。兄は王女と結婚したかったからと。羊飼いが王様へ骨の笛を届け、真実を知った王様に兄は処刑され、弟は年頃に葬られ、お話は終わる。これから始まる物語は、裏切った者と裏切られた者が奏でる悲しい笛の音のお話。
Chapter 5,
The Singing Bone. Didn't they refer to the Singing Bone sometime early in the series as well now? Because I have not read that for myself, but it does sound familiar. I am, however, going to take this chance that we just hit chapter 5 and stop here. Because I think that's one of the first times the game has just been very obvious and okay, here's a slight cutoff. That's great. And I'm going to get some use out of that. Good. Oh, no. Return to the title menu, thank you. Yes. Okay, so we have learned what? Yatsushita-senpai and Komikado-senpai are still around. She has a horrible hair. I'm all for cutting your hair short normally, but her bangs are too short. Makes her face look weird. And now they're on the whole little, oh, so you need to stop looking into these things, it's not good. When she was the one who set us off on the path in the first place with the tulip of agape. Like, you cannot send someone out there and be like, oh yeah, go find the truth, wow. And now that we're actually getting closer to finding the truth, she's like, oh no, don't actually do that, fuck you. Like, what do you want from me? Okay. You can! It's just a stick move, yeah! So, there's 2 more chapters and 1 more mystery, and then we'll actually be at our first ending. I don't think we'll actually be able to get through, like, all of that just next time, though, but we're getting there. And then it's gonna be a little... Once we get there, we can start kind of skipping around to do the other paths and see what's happening there, and actually get the grand finale, the full ending. Wait, hold on. What we could do is just see real quick what happens if you choose the wrong option here. Because last time she just succumbs to her stepmother's stuff. If you say the wrong thing here and go with Dahlia Basquiat, I wonder what's happening. I walked through my reasoning, I release this. Let's do that actually. Cold air in the unheated textiles room chills my skin and my breath passes out in wild clouds. As though in concert with my whispered words. The door opens and there stands a stare. No, and not skip. It's my best friend, always happy, no questions. It's like me, you see, no roots. What? I recall a line from the movie The Professional where the character Leon is talking about his potted plant. I'm in class surrounded by my fellow students, yet I don't feel like I'm a part of it. It feels like I haven't really put down roots here in this box, here at St. Angraecum Academy. The weak sunlight filtering through the overcast sky makes me feel as though my outline, superimposed upon the world, is fainter than usual. At the end of the day, because of my failure to clear myself of being the hookman, the recitation ended up being an utterly miserable affair. Consequently, my efforts to find Mayuri have also collapsed no matter what I try. Oh. I whispered the name of Mamichi and prayed to a silent god that he might turn back time. Oh. Well, okay, that's one way to show you that you did it wrong. Jeu est fini. No, not actually. The bad endings are literally just there so you can have the full thing. But there's nothing ever actually happening. Okay, good. That means next time we start with chapter 5. Next stream for this game is gonna be on Wednesday, actually. It's gonna be a Wednesday week again. I'll post a schedule sometime this evening when I've figured out some more times, but this one on Wednesday. Thank you for listening. No, thank you for coming. This game on Wednesday, I'll also be playing a game with Aura on the weekend. A little collab. Which is the whole reason I'm struggling to figure out where to put all the other games. Haha! But we'll continue what we've been doing. I'll post it sometime later. So thank you for coming to this very early stream. It might happen again, it might not, I don't know. It depends on when I actually get up. Thank you for coming by. We're getting closer to the mystery. I say this every time, and then we're not actually getting closer because for some reason they throw like 15 other things in our face and we're like, I guess we're not actually getting there, but believe, let's believe. I'm gonna send you guys over to Saku, who's playing Lamento, which we're probably not going to have. I can't even tell you about that one because that's one of the... I haven't played this one myself either, but there's quite literally only like 2 people I'm following in life right now, so that's what we're gonna rate. But yeah, have a nice rest of your Sunday. I'll see you very, very soon. I cannot say goodnight. I can just say bye-bye. Bye-bye-bye.